Hey guys, it is 2nd of May, 2020, 10 p.m. on the Eastern Coast. For some reason, it's becomes suddenly very humid very quickly, and whether it's because of the sudden climate or the weather change, and or because of recent occurrences, freaking bugs and like animals or whatever are just like crawling all over our house into the house. Just like I see ants just like in our faucets for some reason. Fucking hell. Anyways.
It's because there's no people around to cull the excess population.
Call it to call the animal
What?
population. Very
People aren't
interesting.
going outside, so there's no annual the culling.
The culling.
Yeah, they're not stepping on enough ants when they walk out of their houses, bro.
It's like the purge, but like with the entire with the entire ecosystem. But anyways, it is episode 142 of 4PlayerAnimecast. It is part
43.
Yeah. Sorry, excuse me, 143. Yeah, 143. And part 3. Again, we're mid-season, although it is sort of awkward to say mid-season in these times because a lot, and I mean a lot of series are rightfully getting delayed. So we'll see how this
Like
sort of
what?
flows out. Some of the series that we're even going to talk about, for instance, a little bit down the road, but again, we'll get to
Pretty
it later.
sure Putty Runman got delayed.
Yeah,
Or-
Putter
Oh, boy.
got delayed, Railgun got delayed, everything. Just like event, manga, anime, Japanese, Western, whatever. It's just all getting pushed. And again, rightfully so. But just a sort of word to the wise out there. It's not going to be our sort of regular, season kind of stuff, right? So
I can't
That
believe
being-
Flair is so unlucky. She's the last person on the 24-person Fukurita, and her 3D stream is still delayed.
oh my god.
And she's the lowest sub count of Gen 3. That's unfair.
Well, I don't know
We'll
about
just kill her.
unfair, but anyways, yeah, just kill her. Anyways, let's get right into it. Again, I guess I'll go first.
Spire, what have you been up to? 2 weeks.
Yeah, I've been pretty. Actually, it's been pretty interesting these past couple of weeks. Real life stuff has slowed down to a more consistent pace. Like, I just have to wait for a couple of things, and then I might end up moving in 1 or 2 months. So that's that. But on the sort of anime whatever side, I've watched a couple. I've caught up with a couple of series, read a couple manga. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten back into light novels yet, but I've actually watched, or not watched, what the hell, read a couple of visual novels, and I'm actually on Center and Banka right now. Of course, I'm doing my usual virtual YouTuber binges and so on and so forth. So I've been.
What do you
kind of
mean
in the mud.
binges? I heard that you said that you don't watch live streams anymore.
Well, when I say binges, yeah, I don't watch them. By binges I mean I'm translating stuff.
But you
I've been
watched
spending
that.
a lot more time.
But you watched that one cute-looking boys stream, didn't you? For live stream.
Yeah, I didn't even watch that. I just did the highlight for the introduction, and then that was. I seriously don't, but I don't have like patience or anything to watch full streams anymore. But anyways,
You should watch Pekara's MGS4 stream with us.
Yeah, he doesn't have the patience. Better watch a 10-hour fucking stream.
dude, my so like the YouTube. This is a very small tangent, but the YouTube. So I have a YouTube playlist. It is on of like virtual YouTuber like kind of streams that might be interesting to take watch like 5 minutes in the distant future someday and like highlights and stuff like that. That playlist, and I've had it for however many years I've been into virtual YouTubers now.
3? Is it 3?
Probably 2 or 3, yeah. That playlist, and again, like I want to say the English speaking virtual YouTuber community probably has only translated, I want to say, 5% maybe of that sort of those sorts of videos. It is that video playlist alone has 4,700 entries, and that's not including all the other sort of hidden tabs I have in terms of highlights that I haven't put into that playlist.
You want Spire?
So,
Let me recommend a highlight for you right now. You should translate Suzuharu Lulu's 24-hour stream.
Yeah, I'll think about that test. But yeah, anyways,
True.
I've been into the mud, or in the mud quite a bit. So I'll be covering one series that I know is a pretty big name, and I know I should probably cover it, even if it doesn't necessarily bring me the most happiness. But we'll get to that a little bit later. But Dark, what have you been up to past couple of weeks?
I have been doing a lot.
Okay.
Been watching, been catching up on Bookworm,
Hmm.
season 2. That don't look too good in the first 2 episodes. It's not. It picks up a little bit after that, but damn, I don't know what the fuck happened there.
She read too
Facial
many
expressions
books.
were wrong. There's a lot of weird shit going on.
That's what happens when you don't go outside for long periods of time, even during these trying times.
It's still a damn shame that show doesn't have like a bigger budget than it does. But other than that, I've been watching some VTuber stuff. Been working on a VR chat avatar for like
Nice.
10 hours a day. Actually, probably even more than 10 hours a day. Like for the
Actually,
past
Dark
over a
is
week.
going to become a virtual YouTuber representative for.
Yeah, why not? I
for
mean,
us.
hey man, depending on how this goes, we'll see what the fuck like I can do with this thing after.
Remember,
The-
HoloLive auditions.
This
The-
shit's
the-
this shit's a
the-
mess, man.
the
I had to
real
learn
the real
Blender.
plot twist is that Dark like just gives up like after getting 80% of the way and just uses that the face rig like Shiba Inu like the dog.
You're like, ah, fuck this shit. I don't care
Yeah.
anymore.
What was that one
Yeah, so I
program
did
with like the burger? Like the
Oh yeah, that's Face Rig. Face Rig has the
Nice.
fucking burger too with the pickle
Yeah.
eyes. But yeah, so I've been doing that because I'm also getting full body VR come Wednesday? No, Tuesday, the latest.
nice.
So that was interesting because that was a lot of money. But hey, man, VR chat's gonna be cool with it, and so is Onward and Blade and Sorcery, and those are like the only games that support it right now. So
What
we'll
about
see.
a Beat Saber?
Beat Saber? What would I do with full body tracking a Beat Saber?
You see those clips
Are you
of
doing
people with
using like an avatar in
yeah,
it?
do it.
I mean, I guess, but it's like you could probably do that even without full body. Like you don't need, like, what do you need? You don't need your legs.
Feet trackers.
Yeah, you do. People gotta know when you do the backflip.
Yeah.
You should not be doing backflips in VR.
You shouldn't be doing. Yeah, you should not be doing backflips when you're fucking tethered to something.
You know, I'm still holding out for the backflip stream during Kiryu-Koko's 3D. I
don't know,
believe.
like-
I believe.
Yeah, well, they're also not wearing like fucking VR helmets when they do those, so they have a bit more range of motion with what they're using.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like there's been that. That's been fun. I started playing League again. That's been
Oh,
something else. Uh, I don't know
Yikes,
why.
bro.
I mean, I've been having fun with it, man.
I think
Except for, like,
everybody's kind of like
yesterday.
sinking back into like we're at the stage
Degeneracy?
now. It's not even degeneracy. It's like everybody's gone into retirement mode. You know what I mean? It's not even you see the difference, right? It's like people are just like, yeah, whatever. I'm just out here, kind of thing. Like
Yeah,
that,
we're like fucking like devolving. I don't
Yeah.
even.
it's not even like becoming lazier. It's just like finding things to do that you like. If you weren't in this mess, you wouldn't even have the mind to do. You know what I mean?
You mean
Yeah,
like
I mean, it's like if I was still able to go to the gym and like shit, I would just cut out League. Like I'd be like, I'm not gonna fucking play League. Like, why would I do that? It's like 40-minute games, but I'm just sitting around. I'm like, well, what
here
else
I-
am I gonna do?
Here I am. Yeah,
So
I get you.
yeah,
Okay.
2020 has been an interesting year. It's I've watched Nier and Sin play Assassin's Creed. I've watched we've all been playing Call of Duty.
No, like
And I started playing League again. So it's been crazy. Think that, you know. it's not fucking 2011.
Don't worry, Dark. You haven't devolved yet. When you start doing protests outside for the things happening, that's when you've hit the low point.
I don't know, man. I
'Cause
think
remember-
I think playing League's pretty bad.
It's just like
About as low as it
slavery.
gets.
Anyways, so you've been catching up to a little bit more of this season's anime over time.
Oh no.
Yes. So yeah, it's been fun catching up.
Mm-hmm. Pretty good. And you'll be able to tell us a little bit more about one of the series that you've been watching coming up pretty soon. And what about you?
Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, Nier, what's it like in Canada? I heard you have protection against the elements due to all of the snow.
It's what? No.
Oh,
He has a sap
It's-
bonus.
It's pretty warm. Although it was snowing, not too long ago.
yeah, it was.
Because climate change isn't real, right? But it's been a pretty wild past couple weeks. I've been pretty deep in this The Last of Us 2 stuff.
Oh boy. So
Please-
what?
Okay, so
Here,
let's not go too deep into it until the call outs. Okay?
I just have one question. What's the deal with the muscle? The muscles.
That's a good question.
That's your one question. I just
It's a good
got
question.
one
It's a good
question for
question.
you, bud.
It's
Yeah,
a good
I-
What's
question.
the
though.
deal with the whole thing?
Yeah,
That's
it's
a
like-
lot to unpack. Sorry.
She went to the human what is it, the human therapy
Dude,
what is the human
What happened is, like, you know how like the
HRT center.
spores made people explode into like mushrooms and shit? Like she's like at the halfway point.
Yeah.
She's like the Wesker of
No,
Last of Us.
It's like, dude, I watched like the whole thing, right?
I just saw that Armstrong clip and I was like, what's happening
It was
here?
the funniest shit ever. That was
funny.
fucking incredible.
But like, how The Last was supposed to be like post-apocalypse, right?
Yeah.
And in The Last of Us 1, like the game opens up in a settlement, and it's like, it's a shithole, right? Like, people are barely surviving in this settlement, right?
Mhm.
But in The Last of Us 2, I guess there's just pristine gyms. Like, they're so clean. They look like Fallout vaults. Like, whatever, man. That game is fucking
Oh, so she wasn't taking
complete
like
train wreck.
she wasn't taking testosterone supplements. That's just pure muscle.
Well,
Yes.
if we're gonna get into argument
That's-
sake, she would
that's just
have
the
to
iron.
be
She
to
would
look
ha-
like that.
yes.
She would,
That's
she would
just the iron
literally
right there.
need to be taking hormones to fucking
Like,
look like that.
there's no way, and
You
B,
don't
like,
get a build as
you can't
a
look like that
female
in
as
the
like fully
post-apocalypse.
top heavy.
Yeah, you
without
can't look
doing
like
that.
that in the
Yeah,
post-apocalypse.
she
You
just
can't even gain that many calories to
The
build
Last of
that
Us
much muscle.
The Last of Us 2 is just gonna have like a side kind of thing where all you're doing is just running around trying to find buckets of like whey protein. You're just
Yeah.
like
You're
a bulk.
Just massive piles of meat.
I
New
mean-
quest, yeah.
I mean, don't if you
5
think about it,
creatine.
mushrooms is protein, aren't
you
they?
need to catch bull
Mushrooms are pretty
sharks
good.
to fucking get their testosterone right
Yeah.
from them.
But
Take the bull.
yeah, other than that, speaking of League, I got into Legends of Runeterra.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
I've heard
which
a
is
couple people have
Riot's
mentioned that, right? Yes.
card game.
Mhm.
And it's pretty alright. It just recently launched 1.0.
Mhm.
They released a new card pack to celebrate. It's now on mobile. It's a pretty interesting game. It's
Mhm.
very different from what you'd really expect from like these days a big company like Riot is like, yeah, we're making a card game, and you'd expect like a Hearthstone clone, right?
Or like some shitty mobile, even shittier
Yeah.
mobile game. Yeah.
But it's good. It's got a very interesting pace. It's broken into like phases. There's like an attack phase, a defense phase. Turns kind of like go back and forth. until each player is either like basically just goes, I'm not going to do anything this turn, or until someone's like out of mana, right?
Mhm.
And it's got a really interesting back and forth, you know. It's got like attackers and blockers, and you know, it's got interesting stuff like, you know, reserve mana at the end of a turn can go into this thing called spell mana, which you can use specifically to cast spells. That way, sometimes spells will cost cheaper, and you can make better plays that way. Like, you know, sometimes you want to just pass on a turn, so that way you can build up some spell mana, and that way next turn you'll have a stronger play or something, right?
Right.
It's really interesting. The game has like extremely little draw power outside of like certain archetypes, so sometimes you're kind of just like, you play out your hand and then you're like, okay, I'm top decking for the rest of the game. But
Okay.
yeah, it's fun. It's all right.
Can I again, this might be a little bit of a damper on the mood, but I think it's important, especially going forward. And I hope this doesn't become too long of an answer. But how free to play is the game? Because I really like when MTGA came out. I
Yeah.
really want to get into it more, but it's just like a lot of it's like, especially in Magic, I think. I mean, this is true for every game, every card game, but it's like there are so many like different decks and with like relatively specific things to put in. Like it's not specific, but it's like there's a pool of really good stuff, and then like if you're not picking from that pool of good stuff, you're kind of starting to eat a dick, right?
Yeah.
And MPGA is not very it's not a very FTP at all. I don't think anybody can ever say that. It's very hard
Right.
to get into. So that was unfortunately why I was kind of blown away by it. Although obviously there's other ways that you can play Magic online, Cockatrice or like like tabletop engine setups, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I was wondering how Runeterra fared versus other stuff like Hearthstone or Shadowverse or MTGA or stuff like that.
Or Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah.
So from my impressions, Runeterra is extremely free to play.
Oh, even more than
So
Shadowverse.
I would say so.
Okay.
So you know, typically a card game, the way it monetizes itself, right, is you know, you boot up the game, you get like your free card packs or whatever, right? And then after that, you're kind of like on your own, right? You have to, you know, build up your currency, buy more card packs, whatever, right? Runeterra doesn't have card packs. Instead, it has this like progression system, right? Where you play games, you earn EXP, and you level up this almost like a battle pass kind of looking thing, right? And along, you know, the progression system, like as you earn more XP, you get more and more rewards, right?
Right.
And the way it works is Runeterra, the like card archetypes are built like there's separated into regions, right? And the way card deck building works is you can have 2 regions in a deck, and then you can have up to 6 champions. Typically, you want like 3 of 2 champions, right? But the way the progression system works is you do your prologue stuff, right, which is your tutorial, and it gives you your initial like guaranteed rewards, which I believe is 3 complete starter decks, and then a bunch of other goodies. And then after that, you can go in and you pick a region, right? And you say, this is my active region. And as you earn
Okay.
EXP,
Right.
you'll level up and you'll earn rewards.
Right.
And you'll get cards specifically for that region, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as you're leveling up specific regions, you're also getting these things called wild cards. And wild cards are what you use to craft specific cards, right? And they
So
hand out
they're just like it's just ingredients. It's like vials or whatever stuff, like
pretty
money.
much, yeah. Like here's like 5 cards in this chest, and then here's like a bunch of wild cards in case the cards you got were shit. And then here's a bunch of gems as well that you can also use to craft stuff.
Right.
So like they're constantly handing you these resources. So really, how free to play Runeterra is basically just how fast you really want like a bunch of different decks, right?
Right.
Because you can build one deck almost immediately, and then
Okay, yeah, that's the big thing I'm looking for. Like a bunch of other decks, like obviously it's extremely difficult, but like
yeah,
even building one deck is
yeah,
very
you can.
easy.
The only thing that's like hard,
Mhm,
I guess, is like building multiple champions, right? Because
mhm,
obviously they require more resources,
mhm.
and they're a little harder to pull.
Right.
But there's meta decks out there that are like no champion decks, right? So
Mhm.
um, yeah, I mean it's really free to play. It's really interesting to me seeing a card game that monetizes itself in the way Runeterra does, where it's like it's pretty much all cosmetics, and if you really really wanted to, you can buy the in-game currency to craft specific cards, right? Like
Right.
it's not like a gacha, right, where you're buying card packs. You're basically buying specific cards because the way it works is you
Okay.
buy you buy the like the monetized currency,
Yeah.
and then you can use that monetized currency to craft specific card, right?
Right. I get you.
Um, so it's pretty interesting. But
Okay.
yeah, it's a pretty
Pretty
cool
good.
game.
Pretty good. Pretty good. And
Um,
yeah, anime wise, you've also caught up with a couple of stuff. Obviously, there's obviously in the last I want to say 1 or 2 episodes we've covered some stuff that wasn't as necessarily as palatable to us, but I think there's a decent amount of stuff that can make us that can make all of us pretty comfortable this season, I would say, right? It's been a pretty flexible season with
yeah,
regards to
I
that,
think
would you
so.
say? It's like there
Yeah.
it's not like everything's geared towards one thing, or like everything's like isekai now and you're just like, oh well, fuck fuck me, I guess. It's like
Are you sure, Spire? Because we got a lot of card games in here, and they're all good.
yes. Well, what I'm
I
saying
don't
again,
know if
there's something
I'd
for
say they're all good.
everybody. There's something for everybody. But yeah, so you've been covering some stuff. I think you talked about some of them in your preview, and we'll be talking about a little bit about that just in a little bit. And Toast,
What's up?
what have you been doing these past 2 weeks?
Hazard pay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm up to. Hazard pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Uh, 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 I've been
Exciting.
watching. I mean, do you really want me to talk about what I've been doing? Because I will.
uh,
That's usually what we do on the show. Yeah.
I mean, in
I've
terms of like anime, or like, I mean, you can talk about real life stuff too, but obviously,
Okay, oh, if you want me to talk about real life, I will. Okay, I've been watching a lot of Corone streams. Yeah.
yeah, Toast is definitely on the. I mean, he's been on it for a while, but on the
Yeah.
VTuber binge here.
Can you believe Corone has surpassed Okayu already?
I'm
Yeah.
surprised she didn't do it sooner. I'm surprised she didn't do it sooner. Considering what
She
she's like, but
She's definitely one of the most popular right now.
yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
even
not right now. Well,
but
I think her Doom stream was like her most popular video. But then you got Picoro over here who's streaming Metal Gear Solid 4 Part 2 in 28 minutes. Wow. I'm gonna be watching that. You can't stop me.
How many viewers did she have during the
Like
Doom stream?
30. Oh, the Doom? I think it was upwards of 20.
It's pretty good.
Okay, so
Jen, wait, did she stream Doom again today? I don't think she did.
I don't think she's
I don't think she
done a
streamed
second
today at
Doom
all.
stream.
I think it was Tetsujin something. Yeah. Only real anime watchers remember that.
When's she playing the new ones, bro?
Probably she'll play the old ones.
anyways, do you have?
Oh. I
Yeah,
watch
so
arts. Yeah. I was gonna talk about arts, but I forgot because I was watching
you
that other
can do
thing.
that still later. We still have more episodes coming in, obviously, so we can cover that a little bit.
But I won't
later.
have time. I got a lot. I got a lot to cover this season. We still haven't covered the villainous arc yet.
I'm sure we'll get to it. It's not like how many. Like, are you gonna cover Shiraneka Project? No. Like,
Yes. Wait, which one is that?
Yes.
Yes. Wait. Hold up. I hate to read the wiki page, but yeah. We'll get to it. Don't worry. So we'll be covering again. Actually, we'll start off with you first.
Yeah. You want to know what I watched? Is that the
So-
segue? Is that the segue?
Yes. Do you want to tell us that? Well,
This is the segue, viewer.
Yes, this is the funny thing about this is what Toast is about to cover is when Toast asked to cover this, I said, does anybody actually have experience with this franchise? I mean, I had like a tiny bit when I was like re-rolling and stuff like that, but I was like, does anybody actually have experience like with this franchise? And everyone's like, so
Play
Hey
Shadowverse.
man, I told you my experience. Okay.
very interesting. But Toast, do you want to tell us what you're going to cover?
Huh? Right now?
Toast is dead.
You want me to cover it right now?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, okay.
You're up.
I watched Princess Connect Redive. Yeah.
The anime, yes.
The anime.
Originally, mobile game by Cygames.
It's not in English yet. Why?
Neither is a lot
I'm
of
waiting.
stuff.
I'm waiting on it.
I don't
There's
think
a
they're
lot
gonna
of stuff.
do that.
Yeah,
Why
it's
not?
gonna do that.
Bro, look. They already have fucking what's it called? So who cares? They already have them in
Grand Blue?
Grand Blue, yeah. Who
Yeah.
cares?
I
Yeah,
mean-
they're also in Shadowverse. And,
Yeah.
For some reason, the pre-connect cards don't have any English voice lines.
They should. Well, no, they don't. They don't. But yeah. Why isn't it out yet? I mean, I understand Uma Musume. That's kind of niche.
I don't understand that at all because that game isn't even out yet.
The
I thought it was. What?
Hey,
No.
listen.
Musume
What?
game is not out yet.
What's his name? KMR? KMR promised. 2020.
Please.
Uh,
2020.
Yeah.
Fucking Force Girls, man. Like the whole Uma Musume is like the funniest story that like never happened. It's actually the silliest shit.
You know what the
Yeah,
funniest
it's
story
a
that never happened?
multimedia project with one piece of media.
Yeah, exactly. What's the original source material? We don't talk about that here.
It's not out yet, bro.
That one horse girl that I liked in like the preview video. She never appeared in the anime. She got cut, and I'm like, oh.
Nice.
Oh.
Anyways, you want to talk a little bit
Oh,
more
yeah.
about Preconnect?
This show looks way better than it has any right to be.
Wait, what do you mean by that? Who's doing Princess Connect?
It's in-house side games.
Oh, it's in-house. Okay.
Like the other one was Manaria Friends, and that game came out, right? And that one also looked really good.
Would we describe that as it came out?
What?
It did.
Yeah. She's in Grand Blue, right?
Wait,
That
there's a
means it
Manaria
came-
Friends game?
What? There's her?
The anime.
What? No, I'm talking
Oh,
about the game.
No, he's saying game. No,
She's from
there's
Grand
no
Blue, right?
game.
No. She's from
No,
Age of
they're from
Bahamut.
Rage of
Bahamut.
Bahamut.
Yeah.
So
And that
I mean,
came out.
technically, yeah, but there's no like.
Man, I don't even. What is with
straight
this
up
side games
Manaria
universe?
Friends game.
There is some sort of side games multi-universe happening in here, where everyone appears and everything. Yeah.
I
Yeah, it's
mean,
called Shadowverse.
Yeah.
I mean, they're obviously doing collabs with like each other all the time.
When's
Big-
Uma Musume in Shadowverse?
I think I don't
Maybe
know
after
how.
Uma Musume comes out.
It'll be full on like the like Nasuverse style, like everybody just in everywhere. We're just gonna have like a Carnival Phantasm boat with side games characters only. But anyways, so what'd you think about the
It's
anime? I mean, other than what you just said,
it,
which is
look
like,
it
it
looks
has a,
really
what do you
really
think?
good. It's kind of
It
off
has a
put.
lot of
It's kind of weird.
money, right? Because it's, I mean, well, it looks better than Shadowverse, is what you right?
Well, Shadowverse isn't done in house.
Yeah.
Right.
Also,
But that makes it even weirder, right? In a sense, because it's like,
I mean, it definitely looks better than Minari Friends too.
because
Like,
even like Uma Musume anime was shoved off the PA Works, if I remember correctly, right? What's is Side Games is the only stuff that Side Games did anime wise? Is it like Grand Blue and Precone? Is that how it works?
Not
they
Grand
did
Blue.
not do Grand Blue. I
They did
wish
not
they
do
did fucking Grand Blue.
Okay, which
The
ones did
only
they do
stuff
anime
Side
wise?
Games Pictures has done is Minaria Friends and this.
Minaria Friends.
Yeah,
Minaria
this.
Friends was decent, right? Audio
Yeah, it looked really good too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
solid.
Yeah, for a game that's not in English, this definitely has Side Games money behind it.
This is
Well,
really
this-
weird. Yeah, it's really weird because it's like they're doing stuff better than than when they
When they
you know,
license
contracted.
studios,
Yeah, contracted. But then like okay, like like
mean-
what are we talking about here? Like,
Like,
what are we
if-
doing, Side Games?
If you watch
I mean,
the
I just
open,
don't understand why. Like, it's like, hey guys, what are we gonna do for Grand Blue? Our
Make it
biggest game.
shittier. Yeah.
What if
Make
we
a shitty
throw it out the
adaptation.
window? Like,
How about we make a shitty adaptation? These
you know, this
motherfuckers.
action show. We're gonna make that one look like
Hey,
shit.
hey, Grand Blue players played this game before Sparky. I'm sure they'll eat up this shitty anime anyway. It's like,
they did.
yeah, they did. Yeah, exactly. Anyways,
it's like I don't know, man. The moment you see the opening with that one fight against the Desert Lizard, you're like, wait a minute, why does this look actually really good and has good camera work? Because
very weird. Like I don't really get.
okay, so let me go into the story. The story is
Mhm.
there's this dude named Yuki who wakes up to some goddess. She's like, "Hey, I don't want to talk to you right now. Goodbye. I'll talk to you later." And then she throws him out of the goddess realm and into like some world. This kind of starts off like an isekai, I guess,
Yeah.
in a way, but it's not. I don't think it is. I mean, it could be.
So
Technically,
is
it does count, but
Is it like all pretty like slice of lifey kind of stuff for right now? That's what the
Yeah.
episodes seem like. Do you think it's going to get into some weird
No.
shit in
No.
the no, okay. No, it's gonna be
No.
very episodic and then it's gonna end. Is
So-
it-
so-
Precone at its core is very like not serious.
it's pretty
Yeah,
pretty
that's
slice of life thing. If you read the synopsis, it's about the dude joins the gourmet guild with 3 chicks, and they do have some Toriko-like adventures. That's
That's pretty
cool. They even call it the Bishoku Guild. You know what Toriko's affiliation in Toriko is? Bishoku, yeah. He's a gourmet hunter.
well, Shoku is generally Shoku is generally
Oh, get it?
the podcast.
Shoku like Shokugeki no Food Wars. Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing there, you Japanese language.
It's almost like they have the same kanji for food.
But yeah, so I looked it up, and apparently the director for this anime is the same guy who does Konosuba, and there is a lot of Konosuba-esque elements in this anime, and you can tell right off.
sort of pacing, you mean?
It's very comedic and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah,
mean-
especially there's a lot of like what's it called, jokes, like snappier jokes,
Mhm.
if you want to say
okay.
that. Like,
He's also the person who did Koro wa Zombie desu ka, right?
Yeah. Oh, really? That guy's good. You should hire him more for more stuff.
I agree.
Kore wa Zombie is good. Konosuba is good, and this is good. But yeah, apparently in this anime, there's also Kazuma's voice actor. He voices a 2-bit crook, but he definitely has the Kazuma-esque mannerisms. So it's like, hey,
Jin something.
yeah,
Sorry, no. Go on.
yeah, but he's like, here's some Kazuma-esque jokes, and I'm like, wait a minute, I see what you're doing. But yeah,
it's very I guess that's pretty much the general for now. But I guess in terms of like sort of any last-ish words, I want to say like I sort of get why side games isn't committing more to side games pictures than the general sort of thing, because it's like they don't need to, right? Like why would they, right? In a sense, but it's also very funny to me, right? That that like they have enough money and they have apparently good enough artists and sort of people enough pull to pull people in to create good enough groups to make good series, good adaptations of their games, right? Of their lore, whatever, right? Franchises. But they're just like, nah, it's okay. It's fine. You know what I mean? Like everything else, like the Idol West or like Cinderella Girls, and although that's not more Bandai Namco side, right? What is it? Shadowverse, Uma Musume, just what is it? Grand Blue, right? Grand Blue. Like everything else just went, out there, and they're just like, it's fine. We can do decent stuff, but we won't. That's like I sort of get it, but I still find it pretty funny that like this is the timeline we live in, where it's just like at this point, side games just like if you really want us to do something decent, we'll make it in house, but else we're just gonna throw it to some of these shitty anime studios, you know. So
What's weird too was that it wasn't even like map is not even like
yeah, I
just
know.
by default shitty. So
Yeah,
it's
I know.
just like
It's like
it's
that.
so
Like
weird.
that's part of the sarcasm. It's like none of the stuff that like it's weird because it's like I think in a sense it was a little bit I don't know. It's like maybe the contract didn't involve enough resources or like whatever happened, but it's like a lot of these adaptations kind of were flatter than expected, right? In a sense, whether it's Shadowverse or Grand Blue Fantasy or whatever, a little bit flatter than expected. Same with Uma Musume, right? Although they were done by good studios, Mappa, PA Works, stuff like that, right? And it's very strange why that is. Again, they should have had the resources. They should have the knowledge of what's going on in these franchises, right? But it's just kind of all fell flat. Very unfortunate. But do you have any
So let me
last
get
words?
back to this.
Yeah.
Let me get back to this. Characters in this pretty cool. I like them all. They're all very likable in their own way. They're presented in a way. I mean, this is a lot. I feel a lot of Konosuba vibes in this, and all the characters in there are pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
What else? What else did I say? Oh yeah, I think let's talk about the main protagonist, Yuki. This is the best representation of how to do a silent protagonist, because this series has gamers, right? Where it's a mobile game where
Yes.
you're the dude who wanders in, you put in your name and whatnot. That's cool.
Uh-huh.
So his name is Yuki, right? But other than that, he has maybe 1 to 2 words every episode, and he does basically nothing at all.
How much of him do they show?
He's there all the time.
Okay,
He's
but
the
he
main
says
protagonist.
okay.
So the whole dealio is
That's very interesting.
he's sent from another world and he lost his memories, and then he's got to do something to get them back. Whatever. I don't know. And then Kokoro, the elf girl, is his guide, so she's counts as the tutorial lady or whatever.
Mhm.
Because this feels very game like. Like he drops in, she's all like, "Hey, dude, here's some money. Let's do some quests." And she's the driving. In the first couple episodes, she's the main person who drives the story along, and he's just along for the ride. Because I mean, he says 1 or 2 words. He's basically useless, like even in battle, except for his special superpower and whatever that makes everyone else stronger. But yeah,
Okay.
he as a side protagonist, he hangs back. He's there when the characters are interacting with each other.
And kind of like need him, right? Be like, yeah, I'm actually the protagonist, by the way.
No,
Stuff.
not at all. It's the opposite.
What do you mean?
He acts more like a side character than a real like the protagonist, and that way it helps to make the other characters shine. This is basically what I wanted from the Admiral and Kantai collection,
Yeah, I was about to bring that up.
but it done in a very good way.
Yes, it's very because honestly, I would say that when you talk about having silent protagonists transitions into, adaptations of anime, right? The standards for that is quite low, and I would say
What else was there? Persona?
there's
Does that count? But
um
rather than being a silent protagonist, he had lines and he was the main driving force.
yes, well, there's stuff where
Well,
they
I
just
mean
like fully voice the characters, where it's like
that's
Yeah.
typically what you kind of have to do, right? Because
they're
like
like Magically, right, and stuff like that.
yeah, at the end of the day, they are a protagonist, right? They're supposed to
There's also the
react
infamous
and influence the story around them, right?
right.
So-
The two major methods right now in the industry are either full voice, and we're just gonna full personality and kind of try to shape it around that, right? Work it around that. Although a lot of times it works because it's like in those sorts of like structures, right? They already have they already have the lines for the character. It's just that they don't have the voice, right? So they mainly just need to find a proper voice. And then the other sort of method of doing it is to cut the protagonist out entirely and create an almost like a Yuri kind of like girls only atmosphere, right? Which is sort of what Conclave kind of try to aim to do, which is what Kohime Muso did, stuff like that, right? Uh, and obviously there can be flops in both models. I would say there's much higher risk of flopping in the latter model where they cut out the protagonist entirely. I still have PTSD over many of those, but it's definitely interesting to hear you say that this is the best rendition of it, and I would like to watch it almost just for that, right? Because it's not necessarily easy to adapt super well.
Well,
So
due to his amnesia, he doesn't know anything. And there's this one scene where Kokoro gives him money, he starts eating, and she's like, "You idiot! That's money. You use it to purchase goods and services." And he's like, "Oh, cool." And that's the extent of their conversation. And then he just hangs back and does stuff.
Yeah, he speaks like a fucking infant.
Yeah.
Weird because they're like, oh, she's like, oh yeah, I forgot you lost all your memories, and it's like, well, typically when you have an amnesia character, they don't forget how to like fucking speak, right? Like,
just like full hell of killer stuff. Like,
yeah, money, money, good.
Wait, anyways,
Yeah, because he's in the back, doing his funny comical things, but not really actively being a part of whatever they're doing. He's just there, except for when they need his power. It makes the three girls much more interesting, and their relationship dynamic is way better. Whatever. To be honest, I don't know much about Princess Connect. I read the Jojins because they got nice art, but I can't play the game yet, so this is the extent of my knowledge of it, other than Shadowverse. But yeah,
okay. Any last words?
it looks really, really good. My favorite fight scene is the one where they're fighting the dragon,
Mhm.
and then they're in the sky, and then they fly through like a mountain range or whatever, a cave, I guess, mountain range maybe, and you can tell there's a lot of effort put into these, both the backgrounds and the animations.
Okay.
I'm still
Yeah.
surprised that.
This is funny because like we
I
or
mean,
not
eh,
rather I talked just I was thinking a couple of hours just before about or you and I actually were talking about in Discord just a couple of hours before about another series that we were like this ended up being much better than anybody had any right to expect, right? It's like with Bento and stuff like that. So definitely a good surprise. I think a better
yeah.
surprise than not that Preconnect got to be this
Oof. That crappy looking Konosuba is. How come this looks great?
one. it
Yeah.
Gee, I
it
wonder.
has direction. Let's go. All right, it
But
has
yeah,
animation. Right?
show's really good. I like it.
Okay.
Probably a contender for best anime of the season. Yeah. Episode 3, they eat bugs. That was cool. Episode 4, there's a llama with a sword. So, yeah.
Pretty good.
I like this show a lot. It's better than Yu-Gi-Oh! Shit, what's it called?
Sevens.
Because
Yeah.
it's Yu-Gi-Oh.
Better than Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s right now, even though I have to do a shout out for Yu-Gi-Oh! Brain. Yeah. 7s, episode 3. They had a new artist pop in, and you can obviously tell. Because instead of the floppy, blobby Vanguard, I'm about to say Vanguard Princess, but what's the other? Card Fight Vanguard.
Card Fight Vanguard, yes.
Our artists were, they're flat and kind of blobby and not very sharp. This episode had some pretty good sharpenings during the duel. It's good. Felt like a real Yu-Gi-Oh anime now. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Watch Princess Connect Free Dive. It's great.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you, Toast, for covering.
My favorite character is the cat girl. She's cool.
Nice.
Chatter, right? She's like really popular.
Carol.
She's really.
Oh, I think you mean Carl with a K.
Carl, yes, Carl.
Her name is Yabai Cat. Okay.
Yeah, but like she is legit like meme levels in the Japanese otaku fan.
Well, I mean, why? That's not. I'm not really surprised by that. She's got probably the best design
I'm not saying
out
it's
of the three.
I'm saying, yeah, she's very, very, very popular. But yeah, anyways, thank you, Toast, for helping to cover Precone. And now we're going to move on to Dark. What do you have for us?
Oh, I have. If I kept, my mall page up, I'd say its name. Houkago Teibou Nisshi. Diary of Our Days at the Breakwater.
Yes.
And this show is pretty cool.
Is it better than the show last? Who did the radio show yesterday? Last
week?
Yeah.
It was me as well.
Is it better than the radio show?
Oh,
Yes.
it's definitely better.
That is, however, not a high bar by any stretch of the imagination. I would not recommend gauging anything said about anything on that. But this show, it's pretty cool. It's about fishing and in the countryside. So basically, the show opens up with a character, Hina, moving to her dad's like hometown in the country, from like a more city, like urban, suburban area. And she's trying to figure out what to do in her new school, but she's really into handicrafts. So she winds up while she's trying to figure out what to do. I forget exactly what happens, but she winds up getting caught up with another student from the school or someone with a tangled fishing line. And so she untangles it, and it turns out that that's the president of the Breakwater Club. So she winds up just having her first essentially like fishing experience catching an octopus. And the president winds up like essentially what you call blackmail, like blackmailing her to join the
blackmail.
club.
Yes,
Yeah, because she like the octopus lands on her and she can't handle like
it's a
bugs
good
or sea
like,
creatures.
quick railroading into the club. Yeah.
Yeah.
Slot
So
railroading right into
yeah, so she freaks out and then has to like promise to join the club. And so she do, and pretty much just picks up from there. Technically, like she's still uncertain about it, but obviously it wouldn't be much of a show if she didn't join, right?
Mhm.
So she joins the club, and after that, pretty much the 2 other episodes I watched, third episode I didn't watch fully though yet. Seems to be like basically the first half is more general slice of life country stuff with maybe a little bit of fishing stuff, but then the second half to the final like third of the episode is just pretty much all beginner fishing trivia
Nice,
like
good.
how to fish. So far, I think that has been really good. I think it's been paced out really well. I know Ritsu wasn't crazy over the fact that they are doing single chapters when they probably could have combined more than one.
Yes, made the
But
pace a little bit more compact, like Joe, or a maybe somewhat a shorter series, not shorter, but stuff like Ayura, right? Back in the
yeah,
days. Yeah,
Iura, no one
I
remembers
think
that.
I'm just an old man like that. Sorry, Tess. Anyways, keep going, Dark.
I think I think that this series could have like it maybe it could have done that if it had more just like regular slice of life, right? I don't really know how else to describe that, but just more of like the slice of life, like anything that really isn't about fishing, right? It was
Right.
more of that. But as of right now, that there is a lot of the fishing aspects, obviously. So I feel like if they wound up removing a lot of like that would kind of be pretty disappointing to me at least.
It's still
Or
pretty
not even removing, just not dedicating enough time to each part
right.
because I feel like it would start getting a little too hectic.
You're right.
Um,
Right. Well, for right now, it's still. I mean, I'm only up to episode. Um, well, I was at near the end of episode 2, but it seemed like it was still pretty leaning biased more towards the sort of character interactions more than the trivia, right? For the most part, just kind of like, oh yeah, we're kind of chilling
um,
out here.
I would say yes and no. It kind of depends on how you want to look at that, right?
Mhm.
Depends on what you would say, only constitutes as character interaction. I think
Mhm.
it's pretty balanced. Like I do think they do a good job of having just the series in general does a good job of having um trivia through character interactions. Like um what's the other character's name in episode 2, especially like at the end when she's learning how to cast her line, but she keeps hitting Natsumi with the line. Like I think something like that is pretty good because it's like, you know, you have a character interaction there, but it's also basically showing you like if you don't like properly cast your line, it's just going to cast in the complete wrong direction and go like
Right,
even
right, right,
behind you, right?
right. Exactly, exactly.
So I think stuff like that is pretty good. Um, but yeah, overall, I do quite like the way it is paced out in that sense, in that way.
Yeah. I so of them, the slight sort of discussion that was had previously, or discussion that was had about the art style, I think you said, or which is again the thinner lines in the anime compared to the manga, right? I believe.
Yeah, that is what Nier brought up. There's like that's like the biggest thing. There's some other aspects to it, but overall,
Hmm.
I think like that's kind of like the biggest I would say gripe I would have with it. But I don't know. I'm reluctant to say, oh, that's what I expect from Doga Kobo at this point because I think that's like kind of a cop out to have. So
Uh-huh.
I am still not like not happy with them just taking essentially the manga style. Like I never read the manga, but after Ritsu brought it up, I decided to skim chapter 1 and 2. But
Right, right.
overall, it's like the manga's art style is really nice, and it's a shame, honestly, that the show didn't like they didn't try to like straight adapt that. To be honest,
Yeah. Something
because
something a
that would
little
have
bit
looked.
more along the lines of something like Wataten, or like um uh Takagi-san kind of levels of like lines, right?
Yeah.
Um, but that would be nice. But also, I think for some reason, so I don't know whether I would be like, oh, this is like the best thing I've watched or anything like that. But I feel like for me, in terms of like this sort of like pacing and like the balance of trivia and the slice of life, there's uh Toku says catching fish anime versus catching dragons to eat anime. Are you talking about the what is it the Ryutate the
Dragon Rider? What's it called?
no he's talking about the series from last season.
Nia, what's it called again?
Isn't
CG
it-
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was called, dude.
Isn't it like floating dragons or something like that? It's I watched it actually, but I forgot the names.
Wow, must have been really good.
Yeah, it was okay. It was just that I didn't I just have bad memory.
It's on Netflix.
Kute Dragons. Drift. That's why I couldn't.
Kote
Drifting
Dragons?
Drifting
Yeah.
Dragons.
Yes,
Yeah,
Drifting
okay.
Dragons.
That makes.
I feel like, I mean, Drifting Dragons is nice, but there's a little bit like something like whenever I watched it, it was like, well, I guess this is gonna happen, kind of. But obviously, comparing apples and oranges. But
You know
back
what
to
you
the
should
point.
watch? Princess
What?
Connect Redive. That's also a cooking / eating, making
Yes,
food anime.
I'll get to that eventually too.
True.
But so what I want to say, and this is no like real like diss or anything on the series I'm about to talk about, but when I'm watching No No Biori, right, I'm kind of like it's like a summer's like it's like being in the summer with like hot like with sun bearing down upon you and like the air is humid and you're like breathing it in and you're like it's like you're kind of looking for something to kind of distract yourself to happen next, right? And it does like kind of work. It's like, but there's so much of the nothing, and the nothing is good, but it's like you're always sort of constantly trying to find more stuff to focus on in Nononbiori. Does that make sense for those of you who have watched it? In a sense?
I mean, for me, I was gonna say in regards to Non Non Biori, I would say what I do quite like is just in general like the slower pace and
Yeah, I'm not saying I don't
just
like it.
like
What I'm saying, I really liked it, but it's like the way you watch it, right? You're always like sort of you're like, okay, well, what's coming up? What's coming up? Because there's so much nothing, right?
yeah. Well, I mean,
you're like
it
watching it inch by
is
inch. Like
pure
yeah,
like
nothing.
slice of
Yeah,
life.
exactly.
It's like
You're watching
the
background
quote
change inch
unquote
by
like
inch. That
trivia
literally,
here
yeah, yeah,
is how do you live in a countryside, right? Watch these
yeah, yeah, yeah.
characters interact.
Yeah.
Um,
So what I'm saying is that it's like that's one extreme, right? Non Nobiri, and like the other extreme is something like Yamano Susume or like I don't want to name a shitty example, but I'll do it anyways. It's like Rifle is Beautiful or whatever the fuck that series was, or
I mean,
all
that's a
these
pretty good example
where
for
it's like what I'm
like,
trying to yeah.
yeah, for what you're trying to say. Because that was
So
the
so it's
same
like
thing
the
that I
other
was
extreme is
thinking
just
is
like
shit like
trivia,
that.
trivia, trivia, and it's like they're all sort of living on trivia, right? The backbone is on trivia. Like the character interactions are there, and it's like a sort of like underlying plot, but it's like the character interactions and the evolutions in the plot of these sorts of series, right? Whether it's Salajugaku C3 Boo, right? The survival game shit or whatever, Sabage Boo, or all these other series. Um, being built on the back of that trivia, the character evolution throughout the 12 episodes, it's like depressingly mediocre. It's just like, whatever, man. Just develop the characters and be done with it. It's like that depressing. But I think Houkago Teibou Nisshi does a really good balance of that. To the extent where I'm just like I'm watching it, I'm just like I don't really care. Like I'm just watching it. I'm not like displeased with it at any point. I'm not like really looking for anything at any point, right? I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, this is happening, and I'm not like, okay, well, what's the next character development you're gonna feed me? Or it's like I'm not like, okay, well, where's the trivia gonna come? I'm not like thinking about these, which is
Yeah,
something that I found peculiar because I usually kind of think like that, where it's like even if I like a series, I'm always kind of like, all right, well, what's gonna come up next? You know what I mean?
yeah. What I was gonna say was my thoughts on this, especially like I would say it's kind of at like that midpoint
Yeah.
between Non Non Biori and a show like Rifle is Beautiful, right? Where it's got a really good balance of just the really slow slice of life in the beginning, and then
Mhm.
it goes to a more slower like slower paced trivia towards like the end. And I thought that they did that really well, and it
Mhm.
makes it so that a the trivia doesn't overstay its welcome,
Right, right.
And B, it just makes it so that like for me, my biggest problem with shows like that, and even shows like the Koisuru Asteroid, and just in general, like the This Is Girls in a Club Doing Stuff show,
Hmm.
um, it winds up becoming like these are barely even characters, right? Like,
Yes. Well, it's like you're always looking for what's the next thing that's going to happen, and that next thing is always something obvious that has been set up before. You know what I mean? It's just like,
yeah,
oh, there's obviously going to be character film. There's obviously going to be a tournament. There's obviously going to be trivia, kind of like that. You know what I mean? And it's like they're just
yeah, and it's also, I mean, for me, it's also an issue of like it. It just doesn't feel like there's a world there, right? Like it doesn't even feel like
oh
they're in
no
a
no yeah
place. Like
yeah yeah.
in Koisuru Asteroid, I have no idea what location there. I have no idea what type of area it is. I don't know what the
Some
fuck
place in
any of it
Japan.
looks like. Yeah, it's like here's some place. Like maybe there's a forest somewhere nearby.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
okay,
Thanks.
sure, but like what kind of setting is it?
Right,
It's
right,
like
exactly.
I get it. It's not a city, but like at least for this, it's like it sets it up like this is a more countryside. Like here is like the bay and the docks.
Mm,
Um, and it also has like it has her parents in it in the beginning. I assume that they're going to be in it a little bit more as well
mhm.
throughout the series. I think that's always nice too. Um, I always find it like kind of annoying that again that like those the usual girls in a club doing shit shows, they just don't have any of that, right? Like you don't see anyone other than them. It's like, well,
Well, I mean,
there's other people in the fucking world. Like
yes, yes,
I should
That's-
at least see some of them at some point, and like
yes.
maybe even their family.
It's more cozy to have that sort of environment for sure. And cozy is the name of the game, right? It's like if, the, if it's like in a sense, it's like gakugurashi, right? School life. Try to do the exact opposite of that, right? Or try to sort of not even. I don't think they consciously appreciated that, but they sort of part of Gakugurashi's charm, right, is the fact that they were just the four girls all alone in a freaking zombie apocalypse, right?
Well, yeah, but like that's different. They're also not girls in a club doing shit.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's not really a club.
Well, I can't. It's hard for me to list like a sort of an example that like more consciously uses that sort of aspect. But I understand what you're saying with like whole just like yeah. I mean, it can't just be these four girls just like stuck in one room or stuck in their houses all day. It's got to be like if they're at a school, it's got to be an actual school.
Yeah,
So
it's like
that's definitely.
give me at least like something more.
Hmm.
But they get stuck on a lot of the shows get stuck on like oh we need to have all of this trivia. It's like
Right, 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 right,
it's
right.
like
Right.
yeah
They're
you
they're in the room
do,
and they're like,
but
right, are
keep
you
in
rating
mind
this? Yeah.
if we have nothing to work with the characters that are presenting this trivia, like
Hmm.
very quickly gonna stop caring whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Pretty. Yeah, it's. I definitely. I'm not like, wow, this is the most perfect masterpiece, but it's like there's nothing. I can't for right now at least. Obviously, I haven't read the manga, so I might have some gripes if I come back or something like that. But like me just coming in watching the anime by itself, I don't really have any like gripes with it. Obviously, it could be like it could be like oh the visuals could be like super like PA works you, but that's neither here nor there, right? But like as it is, like I don't really have any gripes with it necessarily. But what about you? Do you have any sort of like concluding sort of ideas about how the series is?
Yeah, I mean I think it's quite good as a series in general. I
Oh,
think
and
if
compared to I know we also discussed this a little bit before the podcast, but compared to previous Dokobo works, how would you what do you think about it?
I mean the problem is that Doga Kobo has been just putting out like
Good stuff.
I mean, they've been putting out
Like
good stuff, but they've also been putting out like I said, like Koisudo Asteroid is like oh whatever, and then they
yeah,
put out what was the maid one that like fucking completely baited me as for
uh,
what that series was.
It's in Uchime,
Yeah, whatever.
Uzame or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Usamade. I don't like that series anymore, bro. I didn't once I got like halfway through it. That series, like, I don't know. There's something about it. Something about the
Was
pacing
it
in that show, and it like
wasn't it
got
also the
really.
fact that like it got really shitty after the second maid? I think you said right.
Yeah, it just got really weird. Like
Yes.
it stopped, and I was just like, "What the fuck is this show even about anymore?" But
But yeah,
neither here nor
but
there.
that
Just
was back then
overall for
also. Like between Uzamaid and like if you look at their stuff, right? Like after it was made, it was like Anima Yell. Anima Yell was like it was like whatever, but it was like the audiovisuals were fine, right? They had Wata 10. Senko-san was like but it was a short, right? They had Dumbbells, they had Cloister Asteroid, which was iffy, right? I think you said. And
well,
then
yeah, audio visuals wise though, it's been pretty good. Like
yeah, I
Cloister
think
to
the main
Asteroid is
problem is
really
like
good.
yeah. And then this season they're handling both Houkago Teibou Nisshi and Yesterday Utate or Sing Yesterday for me. So obviously, again, as I said, they're gonna pour a little bit more resources into Sing Yesterday for me, just because it's the bigger series
Well, I
and
think
there's
they
more.
found a good balance with it anyway, though, because I
Yeah, yeah,
still
yeah,
think
they did.
even though the show isn't, I wouldn't even say it's at least it hasn't been as like shiny in some
Hmm.
parts as even like Koisuda Asteroid was, but what I will say is that it has still looked pretty good.
Hmm.
It's still a pretty good looking show. I think the style's nice, and I think I don't know, even though it didn't directly adapt the anime or directly adapt the manga style, I still do think that a lot of the comedic effects are done really well.
Hmm.
It is a little bit, it is like more towards the manga's like sort of comedic style when like with character cuts and everything than simply Dogakobo's, right? Like if we're, I don't know. Again, like I feel not great just saying like, oh well, like Dogakobo's other stuff wasn't like all looks like the fucking same anyway.
Hmm.
Um, so like it's not a huge bar in some cases,
Hmm.
but typically like you see a Doga Koba show and it's like the comedy cut is like those like circle eyes with the single lashes and whatnot, right?
Right, right, right.
So there's been style more closer to just the mangas for a lot of it.
Hmm.
Which is nice, right? Like they could have just literally done that they always do because they even did that in Koisuda Asteroid and it's like, well, all right. Like I've seen it in we've seen it in what was it, Yuri Yuri? We've seen it in um oh my god, why can't I think of the name?
What 10? Or what are you talking about? What do you think?
Yeah, I think we saw it in Wata 10 and just stuff like that. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I think overall, they've done a pretty good job at it.
Yeah, yeah. Minus a few like
No, you
stumbles
know
they
what
had.
else I was thinking of actually? I might need to run that back. Maybe I'm
But
thinking of the wrong thing. Now, one of the series I was thinking of saying though was what's it called? Does a very similar thing, but that's not Dogakobo.
oh,
Um,
okay.
Goshimon, Goshu-san.
Oh, Kuchumon. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Who did that one? It was
that's White Fox.
White Fox.
Black Fox. Very interesting. Okay.
Either way, as it stands,
Hmm.
Dogakobo would do still very, very similar styles for a lot of shit. So
Hmm.
at the very least, you know, this is I would say this is a step in a better direction for sure.
Yeah,
But
pretty solid for what it is.
but I will also say that if this is the show that's getting the shorter end of the stick,
Yeah,
that's still
the
pretty
thing
good
is,
for a studio, like for the
this
studio.
is like these are the types of discussions we should be having, right? It's like these are the standards. Like it's like this would be like a pretty decent series by any other studio that's kind of doing the release every season, right? Doing a general like 3 month season kind of thing. Um, but for Duokobo, obviously now we're talking about like they could have done better, right? It's still pretty good, but they could have done better, right? But it's just like
I mean,
that's the
yeah,
standard we should be
they
having,
definitely could have done better, but the fact I still was a little surprised that there was as much like Like I really wasn't expecting to see like as much like
Care?
detailed like
Yeah.
motion and like
Oh yeah,
close-ups
yeah,
of
yeah,
hands and stuff when they're doing the
yeah,
fishing trivia. Like I
yeah.
really thought that we wouldn't even get that.
Or just
So
or just transition into 3D CG like how some of the music anime do.
yeah, I mean, yeah, like even like using like a more CG pole or
Yeah, yeah,
anything like that.
yeah.
But it's really not. They do a good job with everything so far. So I think like this for any other studio,
They're
yeah, like
pretty solid.
this would have been pretty solid. Even for Doga Kobo, I would say this is still pretty solid, right?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
um I wish it had gotten the better end of the stick, but
Yeah, but
I'm at
yeah,
least happy
again,
that it didn't, get like fucking
yeah,
stomped into the dirt, right?
yeah. I mean, it is still getting delayed because of the current crisis, but I mean, again, so is a lot of other series.
Yeah, that I mean that's to be expected at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
I would just say as a closing though,
yeah. Hmm.
um I would A recommend watching it, especially if you like
Hmm.
slower slice of life stuff. And trivia. And B, I would say in my recent memory, this is probably the best and like actually worth watching like girls in a club doing shit show, right?
Yeah, like stuff that you wouldn't be able to gripe about, right? It's not.
Yeah, even
It's,
in 3 episodes, I'm like, yeah, this is already better than like
yeah.
all the other ones that I have in
Yeah,
recent memory.
yeah. Again, it's like the big thing is you can't really complain about much in this series. Like so, that's a
Yeah,
very
and
very
I'm
solid.
never, at least for me, I was never like bored, right?
Right, 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 right. Pretty good, pretty good. So yeah, that was again Houkago Teibou Nisshi, or I believe the English translation is Diary of Our Days at the Breakwater.
So,
So
so let me ask: was there a fishing tourney yet?
No, there's definitely not going to be a tournament
Definitely
because
not.
this is just all about fucking being like, laid
So,
back and fishing.
so there's no gonna be any deadliest catch tournament.
That'd be pretty
What's the
funny.
guy's name where he went to Chernobyl and got like a catfish that was
Oh
17
god,
times
No
more
idea.
radioactive?
I don't know.
Oh,
But yeah,
no, no fancy fish
However,
trivia.
no, I
No.
do not. I do
yeah.
not believe. I mean, there's fish trivia, but it's not. At least for now, it's more like standard, and also there's. I can't see this show doing like anything intense with like fishing, right? Because
Mhm.
it's not really what it's about. Also, they don't really have anywhere to go that they would do that, right? They're just fishing off of
Aren't they
fucking
near a
little
port?
pier.
Yeah, that's good enough.
I mean, it's not like a port. It's like a little fucking like countryside, port. Like
Yeah.
it ain't like, major fishing ships or anything like that or fishing boats going off of there. It's just country people in their
What's
boats.
that show with the Alaskan snow crab? That's not deadliest catch, is it? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then who? What's the one with like the British guy who catches really big fish? Deadliest prey is.
I don't know, man.
I don't know what the fuck
Deadliest
you're talking about,
prey.
dude.
That doesn't sound right. That doesn't
Bridge
sound
guy?
quite right.
What?
Like bridge guy. I don't know.
Anyway,
But yeah.
What am I thinking? Monster fish. There we go.
I have
No,
never
no, no,
heard
no,
of
no.
that.
River monsters. That's the one.
I've never heard of that either.
What? You should watch it. It's really good.
Mm.
all right. Anyways, we should probably wrap that up for now. Thank you, Dark, for covering Houkago Teibou Nisshi. I definitely at least want to cover it. If not, uh, you know, by myself or by have one of you guys cover it so we could talk about it. But definitely one of the series that I looked forward to and I'm going to watch more of. But yeah, with that being said, we are going to move on to Nier. What do you have for
Wow.
us?
Um, I have the not Shaft show of the season. Um, I watched Kakushigoto, which is an adaptation
Mm-hmm.
of the
Manga original, I believe.
yeah,
Yes.
manga
Done by.
original done by the guy that did. Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei.
Yes.
Um,
Kumeto Koji.
yeah, and it's pretty good. It's okay, you know. But yeah. So Kakushigoto is about the main character named Kakushigoto.
Right, right.
Uh,
So the title in itself is like it's like a slight wordplay where it's like Kakushigoto is means secret or hidden thing. Kakushigoto, and it also can be split up into Kakushigoto, which is like work related to drawing essentially.
yeah. Um, and the main character's name is Kakushigoto, and
Right, right.
he's a manga artist, and he draws a, I guess, pretty immature, um, pretty, I guess, crass, you know.
Ecchi manga.
It's not. I mean, they say it's like.
Something
They,
like an ecchi is just like dick
yeah,
jokes and shit, right?
yeah.
Like,
It's not like an arrow manga. It's just like it's some manga called basically Balls of Fury, right?
Well,
Where
the plot of the manga doesn't matter, right? The
yeah,
intrinsic
I mean
value of the manga's plot to the actual plot is the big thing,
yeah,
right?
it's essentially a manga that he doesn't want his daughter to know
Yeah, yeah,
that
that's the big thing.
he draws, right?
Yeah.
And so the the crux of the series is basically the main character is a manga artist, mangaka. He doesn't want his daughter to figure out that he is a mangaka. So
Mhm.
every day when he leaves for work, he dresses up in a suit. And then halfway there, he goes to a clothing store. He changes out of his suit, and then he goes to his office, draws
Mhm.
manga. And the series is basically uh, largely comedy, some minor slice of life, and a lot of it's you know very slapstick, very somewhat surreal humor about uh, either the main character's paranoia about uh, different ways that
It's
his
very
daughter might
deadpan.
discover,
Yeah, non
yeah,
sequitur kind of.
or weird happenings that go on because of like the weird things he does to make sure that his daughter never discovers his work. And interspersed between are these like some serious moments, some character building moments, and there's some interesting stuff going on with the chronology of the story. Um, in that the series starts off with the daughter. She's just turned 18, right?
Mhm.
And for her birthday, she got a key to this old house
Mhm.
that holds her father's secret, right?
Mhm.
And she opens up the door, and all his like a bunch of his old manuscripts start flying through the wind, right?
Mhm.
And so the series basically starts off with like a flash forward of you know
Immediate rest back into
yeah
flash
so it starts with a flash forward of her like discovering the secret, right?
Right, right,
And then it immediately flashes back, and it's like you know here's the characters, yada yada yada, and the
yeah,
daughter's like 7 years old, right?
right, exactly.
I think she's 10. But majority of it is just basic episodic, slice of life comedy. But every once in a while, uh, usually at the end of an episode, um, they'll flash back forward, and some plot details will come out. Like
Mhm.
there's one episode where the daughter finds these boxes right
Mhm.
in the closet, and they're all labeled, like age 6, age 7, age 8, age 9, age 10, right?
Mhm.
And they've all got like a bunch of clothes or stuff in it, right? And the daughter assumes that uh, the main character, her dad, like left those boxes for her, right?
Right.
And the dad goes, oh, like he was unaware of that they were there, and it's heavily implied that the mom left them there, right?
Right,
Um,
right.
and then there's a couple serious moments where the main character's like, does not having a mom, weigh on her, uh, and stuff like that. And then there's a scene at the end of that episode where it flashes forward, and she's in this other house, and then she notices that the layout is very similar to the house she used to live in, and
Mhm.
then she opens the closet, and then there's more boxes, right? And they're aged up like, 18, 19, 20 or whatever, right?
Mhm.
And there's just it's like bounces between, but majority it's comedy, right?
Mhm.
So, but yeah, it's a pretty interesting series. It's very um, it's very similar in terms of its comedy to Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei in terms
Yeah.
of like the delivery. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I do want to talk about that a little bit. Let's finish what you're saying.
yeah, just the comedy is very similar, but I guess the way that
It's delivered.
uh the way the series is kind of like paced, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei is a very fast series, right?
Uh-huh.
You boot up episode 1, and the characters are talking at a mile a minute.
Yeah. And
There's
the
jokes.
entire cast is already there. You're just like,
Yeah,
all right, here's the
there's
cast.
jokes like bang, 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 right?
Yeah.
And there's all this fucking
Ah,
surreal visuals and shit going
the
on.
OP's going on,
Um,
and you're like,
and you're like, what the fuck is happening? Uh, the series isn't really like that.
no, no, no.
It's much more laid back.
Yes.
It's very uh like they're in the city, but they're in like uh I guess like seaside, like they're by the sea,
Yeah,
right?
sort of
So
like again, with Dark series, Houkago Teibou Nisshi, more like a island, like port kind of a
yeah,
city kind of area.
so it feels a little more cozy than like
Hmm.
just your typical city setting. Characters don't speak super fast. There's a lot more moments of just reprieve. But the style of humor, the
Hmm.
way it's deadpan or uh, a lot of wordplay, right? In the humor, those are all very similar to Zetsubo Sensei,
Hmm.
and the way this series, I guess, uh, visually adapts the manga. Um, there's a lot of similarities you'll pick up, even with the fact that, Zetsubo Sensei is a Shaft series, and it
Right.
is visually very different. There's a lot of similarities, like, when jokes happen, a character will be staring like straight into the camera, right? And
Right.
like the character's face is the only thing in frame, and it's like, here's the joke, right?
And
Or
then
it's like,
the rotation, right?
yeah,
The camera
um,
rotation stuff like that.
or like the character will be staring at the screen, and they'll say something, some wordplay, and then like big golden flaming letters will pop up on the screen.
Right.
Um,
It's almost like it's less. I think that's less like cool Kunta Koji and more like the the studio, right? Ajiado, right? Studio, right? What?
Ajido, yeah,
Yeah, Ajiado was so affected by what transpired with the last Koji Kumato work again.
yeah,
Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei, that they were like, well, if you don't do this, I feel like the viewers are gonna send us some shit. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So.
I feel like even I feel like the way they were influenced by Shaft even affects like the casting, right?
Oh
Because
yeah, you're talking about the main character.
yeah, Hiroshi
Yeah,
Kamiya voicing the main
13 years,
character,
baby.
right? Like
13 years since.
yeah, um, like this show, it feels kind of like visually, it sort of feels like a watered down Shaft series, and I
The
don't
weird
really
thing is,
I
I don't
don't
think it
really mean
has to
that.
be.
Yeah,
I don't
I
think
don't.
it had
I
to
don't
be.
really mean that
Yeah,
negatively.
yeah. But
Um,
also didn't have to be.
yeah, it really
Right.
didn't need to be, but like it is a
Mhm.
very interesting approach, right?
Yes.
Because a series like Sayonara Setsuo Sensei, it leaves its legacy, right? And
Yeah.
when you're adapting another work by the same artist,
Yeah.
like even if the original work isn't necessarily similar to the way Shaft adapted the other work,
Mhm.
like that legacy is still there, right? The people that read Sayonara Zetsuo Sensei, like they kind of sort of expect something like that for an adaptation, regardless of like who's tackling it, right? So
Mhm.
it's interesting that they took that approach. I think it works in its favor. Um, Again, it didn't really need to do that, but I think it was a smart idea.
Mhm. I so yeah. Just going off a lot of. I mean, you've pretty much generally covered what I want to talk about already. But it's like Hiroshi Kami. Obviously, there's a lot of similarities, and this. I don't want to be all sappy and be like this is like such a throwback to Sayonara Sensible Sensei, but because it's really not. It's more just like they were just so affected by it, right? And it was hard not to kind of be like that. But how do I say this? Again, very similar to what you were saying, where just like Kakushigoto has its comedy in a very Kumeta Koji fashion, but it's still like sort of letting the comedy finish, right? It's like or letting the skit finish, right? The scene
Yeah,
is finishing. This is like they're saying this, and then boom, they're transitioning to something else. It's another scene. Boom, it's they're looking at the sky. It's dropping down. It's panning down to the building. They're zooming into the characters, stuff like that, right? They're giving it time to sort of breathe. Whereas again, Sarna's Sensei very much like an eclectic, a very sort of a very crazy, frenetic combination of the minds of Fumeta Koji and of the infamous Akiyuki Shimbo.
yeah,
Um, just like comedy is happening. The entire cast is here. The opening, like that's happening, and it's like cut text, boom, 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 comedy. They're going down the road. So it's just very busy, right? As you
yeah,
said, and that's just a Shaft slash Akira Shimbo thing, and this is a very Ajiado Kakushigoto thing, and I think that like difference in style is perfectly fine, especially because Kakushigoto is distinctly not Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei, right? It's like the idea is for it to not be Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei. The
yeah,
comedy is obviously there, but it's supposed to tell the story. It's supposed to be very continuous. It's supposed to be a very sort of like laid back, like kind of like talking about a simple problem which isn't necessarily super impressive, right? It might not necessarily make some people immediately cry. Something um like say something like an Anohana or like Koi no Katachi or something like that, right? But it's still a problem that many people might have in their lives, or many people have heard of, right, in their lives. Um, and it's a very sort of quiet thing that way, and it's very strange to me to see it this way. So I won't make as you've said, you've evaluated him, kind of being like it's a throwback. It's not a throwback, but a very like heavily affected by Saturday Night Sensible Sensei, and I do agree. But just talking in terms of like not like why they did it, but like what they're doing, right?
hmm
Um, I think it's almost like for me, I should have expected this, but it's like there's been like a blindfold like pulled off from me. You know what I mean? Because it's like before when I saw something like Silence is Slow Sensei, I was like, this is a regular pacing, or like not that this is a regular pacing, but it's like okay, well, it's a comedy series, right? And I was kind of like inured to it, right? This is Kumeta Kochi. This is sort of how the pacing is, right? And when I saw such a distinct difference between that and this, right, I was like, oh, no, I'm wrong. That's not normal. You know what I mean? That's not fucking normal. This is how a sort of quote unquote regular series from Kometakoti would be. And Sayonara Sensei, especially with the Shaft influence, especially with the Kakushigoto influence, is just fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's sort of what I realized, right? It's like, that's not normal. So that was a very interesting shift in perspective for me to see how normal the writer for Sayonara Sensei could be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But in terms of, obviously, the audio visuals are pretty decent. I don't think Ajiado has really been bad in their previous stuff in terms of audio visuals. They did what is it Maodure, right? The Sky Mao Shokan something, whatever it is, right? And they did some other stuff. The audio visuals seem to be pretty fine. The story seems to be pretty. I mean, it's mildly episodic with the undercurrent of the hide, trying to hide it from the girl, right? And them kind of trying to work it out, and every once in a while, the author kind of visiting, like, oh, is it really okay to just really stress out like this over the job that you have, stuff like that, right? And
Yeah.
mixing that in back in with a comedy, right?
Yeah, I think the main like story beat stuff is mostly like the flash forward scenes where
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, the daughter is
It's very
exploring,
occasionally, yeah,
the old house and that ties back into,
yeah.
what the episodic stuff is about. Like, there's a scene like the scene where uh the daughter like she's exploring this old ass house that he's been storing all these manuscripts in, and she's like, wait a minute, this layout is like super familiar.
Mhm.
um and then after that, it goes back, and then uh there's half of the episodes about like uh the girl's friends are like, wow, your house is really small, are you guys like poor or something? And
Mhm.
the like, I guess the running joke of the episode is like, you know we're not like the main character's like, I'm not poor, I make a lot of money, right?
Mhm.
um but then, there's an old man walking in front of the house, and he's like, it's rare to see such like a quaint house in a city like this.
Mhm.
And the guy's like, um yeah, when they bought the land, the guy showed me these blueprints for this really old house, and he said to build it just like this.
Mhm.
Which is weird because, with the land they bought, they could have built a much bigger house. It's like, oh, it must mean something to them, right?
Right.
Which is, tying back into, the flash forward stuff. She's in the old house, um, which clearly the main character and his wife lived in before the daughter was born. And then it all comes back into, you know what happened to the mom and stuff like that, right?
Right. Right.
So the story, like, it's not super prevalent, but I think the way they tie it all together with, like, jumping back between the flash forward and the comedy stuff, um it feels a little bit on the nose sometimes, but I think it's done naturally enough that it's like, yeah, this is an episodic comedy series, but like,
Yeah.
it's fine for it to slow down and be a little
I think it's
sometimes, right?
okay if you like blot out your memories of Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei. Like if somebody didn't know about Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei and watched this, they'd be like, oh, it's like it has like weird, like frenetic, weird, like active, very active comedy sometimes. But like beyond that, it's like it's pretty good. Like it has a good balance, right? But it's like once you know about Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei, then
Yeah.
like you look at it and you're like, okay, right? Yeah, yeah. So, anyways, any last words on Kakushigoto?
Overall, I think it's a good series. It Like I said, the comedy like delivery is similar to Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei. I think if you're a fan of Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei, you should at least check it out, right? Because it's the same guy, right?
Right.
If you're a fan of like how shafty Sayonara Zetsuo Sensei is, you
No, yeah.
might not get as much value out of it.
Yeah.
But um,
But I mean, I would say for most people, the way that Saruman Zetsubo Sensei is, it's like it's a very very acquired taste,
yeah,
regardless of like what generation
Sayonara Zetsuo
when you start
Sensei
anime.
is not really the easiest thing to just be like,
Yeah,
yeah, I like this. You
yeah,
know, a lot of people I know that I've recommended Sayonara Zetsuo Sensei to, they'll watch like the first 10 minutes of it, and they'll be like, I gotta stop.
yeah.
Like it's too much for me.
Not gonna lie, there's actually a story about me, and it'll be very quick, but it's like I I like Saruman Zetsubo Sensei. Obviously, I watched it, and then I brought it over to watch at somebody else, right? And in the middle of the marathon, I literally felt sick because it was just like we were just going through stuff. Like it was just like ton, and
Yeah,
I was just like at that point, like obviously I had gone through a lot of this stuff, and it was also just like it was just too much, and I was just like I was not really getting anything from it, and I just like ended up falling asleep.
yeah. Eventually,
That
your eyes kind of glaze over, and
Yeah, yeah,
you're
exactly.
not even like comprehending
It's
the
like
words that
driving.
are.
It's like
that was
it's like driving on the highway. It's like
that was
Yeah.
the same thing that happened to me after Nia recommended it to me. I watched like 3 or 4 episodes in a row, and I was like, I gotta stop. I can't do
yeah,
this.
I can't do
And
this.
the first thing he said to me was like, "Well, you shouldn't have watched 3 or 4 episodes back to
Yeah,
back."
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
it's very similar to like Tatami Galaxy in that
Oh
sense
god,
that like you kind of got to take that very slowly. You can't
it's like
really
dark
binge
chocolate.
watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I think it's a solid series.
hmm
If you like comedy, I think it's good. If you like slice
Yeah.
of life, I think it's solid. Um, I do really like the color palette in the show. I think it's
Yeah.
really really nice. It's very simple.
hmm
They use the colors well. They shift the colors very dynamically.
Obviously,
Um,
the line style really
yeah.
fits it, right? It's like
Um, yeah, I think it's a good show. I think it's probably one of the more popular series this season in terms of like comedy slice of life stuff. Um,
Mhm.
so hopefully a decent amount of people watch it. But yeah, I'd recommend it for sure.
pretty good, pretty good. Um, so yeah, that was near talk about Kakushigoto, one of the more anticipated uh, anime of the season, and I'm definitely very glad that he covered it. Else, I would have done it myself. But yeah, if you like the sort of slower paced stuff with a very good chunks of comedy thrown in, if you like that's what I say, Kumite stuff like that along that line, please do check it out. And with that, last but not least, I'm here, or maybe it is least, I don't know. I've been taking a lot of bullets this season in terms of this podcast recently.
Yes, Spire, tell us about the bullet that you're taking.
First with my episode one was like the gal and the dino, that's right, and then my second one was Gleipnir, which I didn't like either. And then this one is going to be another one that hurts me. It is the 2020 reboot of Digimon Adventures Season 1 with, if you guys know it, obviously with Tai, Matt, or Taichi, Yamato, blah, blah, and the gang. And yeah, it's 3 episodes or 4 episodes or whatever that's been out. And so far,
How's
can't
the
even.
opening? How's the opening?
Spire
The,
claims that
the
fucking
opening's
anime
okay, but
fans are
it's not like
braver than Marines here.
it's not Kojiwada.
It's no butterfly?
Yeah, so
It's not what they didn't
so
even make a new butterfly? Wow.
I mean,
Lazy.
I don't think
Lazy.
you just
How would they make
casually
a
make a
new
new
one?
butterfly. I think that's the thing that most people can do. But
Just
so
fucking make it.
the way I see this is like Digimon Adventures is I don't know what they're kind of trying to do at this point, right? It's like Pokemon just because of its legacy and just because of the way it stayed so constant and so active for many years, right? Even the new Pokemon, I mean, is for kids, right? Obviously, there are grown men watching it, but it's like
Wow,
you
this
could.
guy.
Yeah, Spire, are you saying that Digimon is for adults?
That's sort of exactly what I'm saying, actually.
At this point, yes, it is.
The thing is, it's like Digimon at its core is a franchise that is aimed towards children. Like that is an objective thing, right? But now, unlike Pokemon, which can keep sort of appealing to kids because it has had the sort of constant active legacy and the constant like we're just gonna stay the same, blah blah blah,
Well,
stuff like
it's
that,
had
right?
a constant presence too,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That's the
Thing.
thing. So it's not like there's no generational gap or weird shit going on where it's like there's nobody that has to be like, oh, that's Pokemon, and some younger kids like, what's Pokemon? Like it's been there every
Yeah.
year, right?
Are you saying
but-
only boomers know what Digimon is?
yes.
Yes.
Pretty much.
So now Digimon comes across, and Digimon, I feel like it would have had to be sold to kids, right? But a lot of the stuff in here is really not. It's just like a lot of like how it's like, especially with like Pokemon and whatever, it's like there's not like obviously there's stuff like like, oh, I can't give up. I gotta be with my friends and stuff like that, right? But there's a lot of like extroverted, positivity, like action kind of going on, right? They're just kind of like up and running, like, hey, I'm gonna become a Pokemon trainer today, stuff like that, and they're just boom going out, right? There's much less of that in Digimon Adventures for some reason. It's always like, oh, this is, you know, and in the future we will become the Digi-Destined, stuff like that. And
So wait,
it's very quiet, and it's like when Yamato slash Matt comes up, he's just like, oh, I'm just an angry kid, blah 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 blah. And
let me ask something real quick.
yeah,
Is this the Final Fantasy VII remake of the Digimon world? Or is this a Resident Evil remake of it?
Important question.
It is. I gotta know.
Completely. So neither is a
Yeah.
true like
I think neither is the
remake, huh?
yeah, but it was very so again. The first 3 episodes, it's like it kind of starts off very quiet, like, oh, these characters, like, what are we really like getting ourselves into? And there's all these like sort of quieter, non-action related kind of scenes that are not really suited for kids. And it's like Matt's like super just like sullen and blah blah blah. And this is not like the Sasuke level of like, oh, I'm the cool guy in class. It's more just like he's just an angry dude. He's just like a sullen angry dude. Which doesn't, again, it's not really for children, right? Like you can have like the cool like son whatever guy, right? And that's a for a kids show, right? But in this one, Matt's just like angry, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, dude. He's just quiet, and I don't think that really lends itself to kids thing. And then a bigger thing is in the first 2 episodes, not even the first three, the first 2 episodes are a very, 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 very quick, like you guys have seen like the Digimon movie, right? The first Digimon movie with like the war games and everything, right?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Um,
Which Digimon movie are you talking about?
the first one, like
The one where they come to the real world?
no, well, that's the like the prequel kind of thing, right? But it's like
That-
the second part, the War Games part of the Digimon movie, the first Digimon movie, right? What are you talking about?
No. What war
Oh,
games
you
part?
haven't seen it. Okay. The
mean,
one where they kill Diaboromon, right? They make Omnimon for the first time or whatever, right?
That was the movie?
That was a major part of the movie, right? But anyways, so that
Okay,
sort
okay,
of part
sure.
of the movie, right, where it's like one of the more infamous or one of the more famous Digimon movie series scenes across the series, where they again kill Diaboromon for the first time, create Omnimon, combination of like the main protagonists, sort of like Digimons or whatever, blah blah. they go through that in 2 episodes. They truncate essentially the entire sort of sequence down, and they put that in 2 episodes. And when I say they truncate that and put that into episodes, I'm not even like, it's not even a joke how much of the stuff that they just reuse, right? It's like shit is happening, stuff is losing control, a nuke is about to fall on Tokyo Bay, or into a nuke is about to fall into Tokyo unless Time Mat stop it. And then
Don't you mean the United States? Wasn't it the United States? What?
no, it was
What?
from the United States into Tokyo, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but it's like a nuke is
Yeah,
about to
so
fall into Tokyo.
Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday. Yeah, about to fall to Tokyo, and Ty and Matt have to go out and stop it, and the monster that's like making everything weird on the interwebs looks suspiciously like a variant of Diaboromon, and then the Digimon can't beat it, and suddenly out of nowhere, boom, Omnimon occurs, and at this point I'm just like, okay, like what are we talking about here? Like, what do you want to do with this series, with this franchise? Like, what are we doing? Because it's like no kid is going to be like,
PogChamp,
quiet
Omnimon.
yeah, like foreshadowing, blah blah blah. Oh, there's this random, the Digimon evolved. Like that much is like, that can be pretty standard. Yeah, they literally like the final scene where they kill like the boss monster with Omnimon, with a new Omnimon. That battle scene is almost exactly scene for scene the final battle in the movie.
That's fine. The
Up
movie
to the
was
sword
good.
slash.
That's good.
No, it was good, but like that's different from like what the fuck's happening here, right? It's like um literally up until the sword slash and like the nuke falling from aiming towards Tokyo and falling into the river and stuff like that. That is literally like almost scene for scene.
So
Like,
wait, hold on. They're not trapped in the digital world. They're still in real life. What?
No. Matt and Ty are in the digital world.
Man, this
and
sounds like this sounds like Digimon season 2. What's happening up in here?
I mean, the movie is essentially a transition, right, in a sense. But the so at that point, I'm just like, what are we trying to do here? Because it's like that sort of like quick, like condensed war games thing. That's not for children, right? Like a kid isn't going to see stuff like this. Like again, maybe they see like the first evolution from like Agumon to Greymon or whatever, and they're like, oh, that's cool, right? Like that's a standard thing, right? Level 1 to level 2. And then suddenly just like a huge mega omega monster appears and hacks all the internet and do whatever.
Omegamon.
Like
Yeah, that's
I mean, like
Omegamon is real, isn't he?
Yes.
Wait,
Pulling
what?
out,
Yeah, of course.
pulling out Omnimon like out of nowhere, like that's
yeah, exactly. It just appeared like the egg
obvious.
and all. Yeah.
That's obvious fan service, right? Like
Yeah, exactly. But it's just like it's obvious fan service, but it's just like they're using that to sort of like set up everything, right? They're using fan service to set up the plot, if that makes sense, right? It's
Yeah,
like, and it's just like, if I'm a kid and I don't have knowledge of Digimon, right? I'm like, oh, this is a kid's show, right? I wouldn't like. I'm just like, okay, they evolved into Greymon, and the Greymon evolved into something cooler, and then the cooler thing evolved. Okay, and then now the cooler thing, like, what the fuck just happened, right? I'm just like, what is the concept or whatever is going on? If anything, do things always evolve into Omnimon? Like, what's happening here?
If you must know, Spire, Omnimon is the fusion between War Greymon and Metal Garurumon. You'd remember that if you watched the movie. They made a big
Thanks,
deal
guys.
about it.
I
The
totally
weird-
didn't know. Yes,
The
but
weird thing I would say is that obviously it's not being made for kids, but I feel like they went that route because of the at least like somewhat success of Cyber Sleuth, and like that's
Oh.
not really for kids. So it's like, but
Yes.
Yeah,
why
I mean, the
make
thing is-
the original again?
Digimon
yes,
as
that's
a
like a weird thing.
series. Digimon as a series has been pretty self-aware for quite a while that like their market isn't the kids, right? Like I'm pretty sure the people
Yeah,
that
they ran out. They are in a different time period, or they are in a different era. They can no longer. I think they're pretty aware that they can no longer make this show for kids. Although they seem to be kind of like. I think all of their like projects always have had this premise, like, oh, it could be for kids, right?
Yeah.
But then when their projects actually fulfill what their projects are doing, it's never been for kids.
You know
You
what
know
the
what I mean?
last Digimon
That's always
was?
how I feel. When
Digimon Last Kizuna Eye, the movie, man. That's not for kids. That's for the boomers.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's I always feel like, especially these days, it's like Digimon is always like, especially since see Tamers, right, or whatever. It's
Which
always
one is
been
that?
like,
3, 2?
yeah, three.
Okay.
3 is also the one again by the lane
That's
director, right?
the one with Renamon, right? The furry that
Yeah,
everyone
yeah,
likes.
yeah, exactly. And
Everyone.
for that everyone likes, what the
Everyone.
fuck?
I
Wait,
love
what?
how you instantly agreed.
Everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I was
want to
like,
tell
wait,
us something,
what?
bro?
I was like, what did I just agree
Yes.
to? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I was like, excuse me? Uh, but so after season 3, it was like they kind of knew that they were on a limited sort of, they were on, they were on limited time, on borrowed time, but it was but they can't seem to shake the basic premise of them being a children's show, right? And they never will be, because it's a children's show. It's a children's show. So it's almost like Beyblades, right? Where it's like you have fucking people like doing this shit, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Is this for kids? I guess it could be for kids, but then when you look closer, it's always for like older people,
Yeah,
right?
and then you have stuff like Moses using a Beyblade to part the Red Sea.
Yeah.
That happens,
Fucking,
by the way.
Nice.
and it's just very like,
Fuck, am I gonna have to watch Beyblade now?
Wouldn't recommend it, bro.
Hey man, that one Hollow Stars guy likes Beyblade. Maybe he's like what, 30? Maybe he knows what's up.
yeah, and it's very like, it doesn't make, it makes, okay, no, it makes me uncomfortable. I gotta say it. It makes me uncomfortable. I just don't. I always get this feeling like it's not sinking down and gracefully dying. I feel like it should have died. Digimon should just have died. I think that was the best way to go. I
Spire.
don't think it should have
I mean, probably, but
decomposed like this. It's decomposing now, right?
the thing is, the property has gems like Cyber Sleuth, right? Like
yeah,
that.
that's like
Cyber
fuck.
Sleuth, Cyber Sleuth knows its audience. Like it
Yeah.
knows who it's writing for. It knows who's going to be buying this game,
Yeah,
and it's
fuck.
a good product for it.
Yeah,
But like to be like, hey, what if we reboot Digimon? And it's like, okay, who's gonna watch it?
yeah,
People who watch the original Digimon. It's like, okay, why?
yeah.
You know?
Because by
Yeah,
then again, the
it's-
show
it's-
has to be made a different way.
It's like, hey, we just shown the end of the journey with Digimon Last Adventure. Guess what? We're gonna start it over again. It's like,
so fucking
it's
stupid.
like what why, man?
I don't know.
Yeah.
To me,
I
something
think
like
the
this-
after story. I think the after story was the best bet that they had, because the after story like made sense, right? Like oh, of course you do an after story, right? Because they've grown older,
yeah,
right?
the
And of
characters
course,
are grown up, the
yeah,
audience has grown up.
yeah,
Right?
exactly. The audience can enjoy an after story, right? And that like made more sense to me. But then we have shit like an OVA where like story's just like, I think I'm gonna give up on Digimon, guys. It's like, what the fuck's happening? Like, what do you guys want? Like, what? Like, did you see that OVA? Have you
Yeah.
seen that shit?
Yeah,
It's like at the end she's like, you know what? I'm just gonna give up a Digimon. I'm just like, wait a minute.
I think I'm
Like,
just gonna fucking kill all my Digimon.
like,
I think I'm done.
like, isn't the point of the after story to like continue being like in this shit, like not like, like keep getting rid of problems instead of being like, whatever, I'm just gonna be a flower, like flower contest winner. Like, what the fuck's happening? And it's very like, I think the franchise in the past couple of years has made some very, very poor decisions. Because I think the initial like idea of the after story was the best one, but after that they just like I don't know what the fuck. It's very unfortunate. And it's very sad for me because again, I like Digimon a lot. I still like Digimon a lot, but I just don't want to see it dying a decomposing death like this. It's very
It's not dying, Spire. It's reanimated.
it's being it's being rebooted. Yeah.
I don't know. I think realistically, the only way Digimon can kind of like stay alive and like continue to be a profitable like IP
Something that's not
is
depressing.
it's to
Yeah.
drop the original cast, right? Like
Yeah.
their story's done, right?
Yeah.
But you have this Digimon IP that, you know, the Digimon like
Either run it like Yu-Gi-Oh, where it's just like constantly like new stuff all the time, or just have some weird, again, something like the after story where it's like an older kind of like, like older cast, and like what are they doing, and like how are Digimon really working in the world of the adults or something like that, right?
I mean, doing something like Cyber Sleuth isn't a bad idea either,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you don't really need to continue making shows, right? You don't need to
Yeah,
be
that's true.
constantly pumping out movies, right? Like you
Yeah,
can
yeah, yeah,
just pump out the occasional game,
yeah,
and you know, people that like Digimon, they're going to see that, right? Like
yeah,
they're going to buy that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't think you really need to be like, you know, uh, here's an OVA once every like 2 years. Um, we don't know why we're making this, but here it is. You know,
Yeah.
like to me, it almost looks like, you know how like uh they keep making Fantastic Four movies just so they
Oh,
can hold on
fuck!
to the IP.
Stop saying that. Don't say that.
It's like that, you know, like they just keep pumping out like a random Digimon
And then
OVA.
people keep thinking like, yeah, but at least with Fantastic Four, we couldn't we might be getting Galactus. I'm like, no, you guys are not getting fucking
No,
Galactus
dude,
because of Fantastic Four. That's not
we're
why it's
getting a
happening.
we're getting a gay ass fart cloud every time. But like,
Yeah,
you know, it it looks like to me they keep pumping stuff out just to be like, hey guys, we've got this
why not,
IP,
right? Yeah, why not?
we could use it, right?
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. Maybe they're just not thinking about it a lot. But I don't know. I think the Digimon IP has a lot of like life left in it.
mhm,
They just have to think smartly about how they use it. You know, they can't just keep being like, here's the original cast, uh, doing some slightly different adventure,
mhm,
right? Here's here's Omnimon again, right? Like,
yeah,
it's not super exciting.
mhm. It's very unfortunate, but I hope this doesn't make. I hope this sort of car crash doesn't make me want to close my eyes fully, but I fear it's going in that direction. But that's pretty much all I had to say about Digimon Adventures
I,
2020 reboot. Wait, did you have anything to say?
I was just gonna say, like, just make a just make a fucking cyber sleuth show then, like.
Yeah, that could
Hey
also.
guys, we did this Digimon thing that was successful, and you know, it did some stuff. Let's just remake the first one. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
It
like
wasn't a
almost like a Persona
Digimon
kind
like
of look.
it
Kind
wasn't
of
a
look.
fucking
Yeah,
like base Digimon game. Like fucking base it on that then.
it could be kind of like a Persona transition back. Yeah, but yeah,
It's just fucked up.
I
I
mean, they
feel.
take it in like a weird, like a like almost like a Mega Man Battle Network kind of setting, right?
Mhm,
Like 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 set it way in the future or something, right? Where
right.
there's, you know, computers and shit and technologies all over the place, and Digimon are like fucking real. Why not?
Yeah. Do you think I'm just wondering, but do you guys think that like something like a Persona or like a Danganronpa in like 2030, if they pull it back, do you think you think it's gonna be like, do you think it would have like the same sort of like reaction or like sort of timeline if they pulled it back like in a similar manner?
What do you mean, like a Persona style game?
No,
I
the
think you mean
general
just
sort
in
of
like
franchise.
10 years they're
Yeah,
gonna bring
in
back.
10 years,
I
if
mean,
like
the problem is that Persona's not a children's series originally,
that is
right?
true.
Like, I think the big problem is like you're saying, like it was a kids series. Then they didn't
Right,
do anything
right,
with it. Everyone
right,
grew up,
right,
and then
exactly.
they did Cyber Sleuth, and people were like, "Wow, that's cool." And then
Yeah,
they were
that's
like,
true.
"All right, but what if we did the original one again?" It's like, why?
Like, please stop. But yeah,
Yeah,
very,
I think a lot of just has to do with them figuring out their audience, right?
yeah, very, very unfortunate. Anyways, that's pretty much all I had for Digimon reboot. That was like the fucking third time in a row I had to like stab myself in the eye as I watched the series this season.
Maybe you just have bad taste, dude.
It's not me. It's just a series I have to cover, man. But that's all I had for Digimon, and with that, we are going on to the news real quick. A pretty decent amount of news pretty much going on these days, or in the past couple of weeks, mainly with regards to just like new kind of weird releases and stuff like that. But first off, um, Tokuma Shoten. Tokuma Shoten announced on April 15 on its uh, Animaga, right? I guess Animaga Plus website that is Hyper Hobby magazine has ceased publication, and the magazine's 15th issue was the magazine's final issue. The 15th issue shipped on April 1st, so this is like a general magazine for stuff like toys, plastic models, Gundam models, tokusatsu shows, entertainment, stuff like that. And unfortunately, now it kind of closed up. Very unfortunate, again, kind of going along the same sort of stuff that we've been seeing with magazines either going out of print or going digital, at least, right, if they're big enough to survive. But again, unfortunate. Next, the online newspaper Observer posted an update on Netflix's live-action adaptation of Sunrise's Cowboy Bebop anime on Friday. Observer spoke with writer and executive producer Jeff Finkner before he took a quote-unquote notes call on a season 2 script. The production on the first season is on hold in New Zealand after lead actor John Cho's onset knee injury in
They're
October,
already setting up a season
followed by a
3.
shutdown due to the new coronavirus disease.
We literally haven't even gotten a trailer for season 1.
Why
Yeah, I know.
would-
I was just like, wait, season 2? Was there a season 1 that I didn't know about? And yeah, I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, I don't know what the fuck's going on here.
we can't
I
churn out The Witcher, but Cowboy Bebop, yeah, we can fucking do that. 2 seasons at the same time for sure.
yeah, I'm just very very afraid. I feel like this is going to be an awkward train wreck waiting to happen. I'm not looking forward to this. On the same note, director Joe Russo stated in an interview with film news website Collider on Wednesday that he and his brother Anthony Russo's planned adaptation of the Gotcha Man television anime series will not adapt the anime story, but will instead center on a quote-unquote group of genetically altered kids who are involved in a space
Fuck
war.
off, dude.
Joe Russo noted that the production is still, quote-unquote, trying to figure out what the new mythology is.
Oh my god.
It's
Why?
Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
What the new
It's
mythology
Goonies.
is.
But anyways, yeah, I'm not entirely too sure about this, but always very funny to hear like, these sorts of live action news from Hollywood.
We're
On the
rebranding it
awards,
to Gotchi Man.
on the awards front, the Japanese Broadcast Critics Association announced on Monday that the television anime of Owara Sumito's Eizouken ni wa te o dasu na, or Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken manga, won one of the 4 Galaxy Awards for March. Since 1963, the Galaxy Awards honor outstanding programs, individuals, and groups with the hope of improving the quality of Japanese broadcast culture. As the anime won a monthly award, it will also be a candidate for the association's yearly Galaxy Award. Congratulations to that. And there's also a live action adaptation, I believe, going on, which was scheduled to open May 15th, but again, because of the crisis going on right now, obviously been delayed. But congratulations to it. Next, the Asahi Shimbun paper announced the winners of the 24th annual Tezuka Osamu Cultural Prize Awards. So Tezuka Osamu Cultural Prize stuff. This is one of like the bigger sort of like manga awards out there yearly. So if you're seeing people win this, it's a big one. You should probably check it out. They don't just give it out to like random like whatever anime adaptation stuff, whatever. It's pretty good. So you guys should check out the titles here. But yeah, the awards commemorate the contributions of the manga pioneer Osamu Tezuka by recognizing the manga that best followed his tradition. The grand prize goes to Nyx no Lantern by Takahama Kan. So this is just like a sort of like a magic realism, supernatural kind of thing going on. I'm also putting the link in the chat, by the way. So next no lantern, new creator prize. Mizu wa umi ni mukatte nagareru. So by Retto Tajima Retto. So that's the new creator prize, and the short work prize is Muchusa Kimi ni by Wayama Yama. So this is like I think compilation of the author BL manga strips or something like that. But yeah.
Prize winning BL.
The committee also awarded the special prize to the late Hasegawa Machiko, who would have celebrated her 100, who would have celebrated her 100th birthday on January 20th earlier this year. But however, she passed away in 1992. Hasegawa is best known as creator of the original Sasae-san that inspired the anime of the same name. Again, which holds the Guinness World Record for longest running anime series. And congratulations to all of the prize winners. And finally, on the awards front, Japanese company Medibank Incorporated and publisher Shueisha announced on Friday that they are launching a special overseas special award for the Tezuka manga contest.
Special.
In order to find new talent from around the world. So this is a global sort of international awards kind of thing. The Tezuka Manga Contest, or Tezuka Show, is one of the regular contests Shueisha and Weekly Shonen Jump hold each year to look for new talent for shonen manga, and is named after Osamu Tezuka. Shueisha held the first award in 1971 and holds the contest twice a year. The special overseas award is part of the overall 100th iteration of the contest. So this is the upcoming sort of 100th anniversary special contest, and it's looking for entries in English, Spanish, Chinese, and Korean. And the first prize winner will be published in either the digital or print version of Weekly Shonen Jump, will be invited to the award ceremony in Tokyo, and will receive 2 million yen, which is around 19,000 US dollars. Blah, blah, blah. Second prize winner, similar stuff, receive 9K. And third, our honorable mention will receive about 4.6K. So yeah, the judges obviously are all very, very famous because Weekly Shonen Jump is big. Is Toriyama Akira of Dragon Ball fame, Oda Eiichiro of One Piece fame, Kato Kazue, Blue Exorcist, Horikoshi Kohei of My Hero Academia, Inoue Takehiko of Slam Dunk, Tezuka Productions, like people from Tezuka Productions, Weekly Shonen Jump Magazine's editor-in-chief, and Jump Square Magazine's editor-in-chief. So big names all judging. Obviously, they're also judging the overall competition. So this will be very, very interesting to see who wins. But yeah, looking forward to it. A couple of little things on terms of localization and stuff like that, and overseas, manga. First, Manga Rock, which has been which was a popular, I believe, more recent aggregation manga aggregation site for the past couple of years, pirating manga aggregation site has shut down its service and launched on Tuesday a beta app for iOS and Android services for Inker Comics, a new legitimate comics distribution platform, and then has like all these stuff, and a lot of them seem to be like Chinese comics. So again, I think a lot of this is just very. I think a lot of this is again. You guys know, or longtime viewers know my opinion on this. A lot of this is just like trying to kill the Hydra, right? If you cut down something like Manga Rock, there's going to be like 2, 3, 4, or 5 more sites popping up just like it, right? So I think it's honestly it's just like a waste of time, and it's not like people are going to buy Japanese manga because they can't see it on pirate sites, right? Because like part of the reason why people go to these pirate sites in the first place is to look at the English translations for these things, right? And if you can't look at the English translations for these things, they're not going to buy the Japanese manga, right? So in my opinion, there's like not that much reason to shut down the piracy stuff. That's just me. Next.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
fucking pirates,
Yeah, I apologize. Next, Shueisha announced on Tuesday that the Shanghai Shuhei's People's Court convicted and sentenced the administration of a Chinese site was illegally uploading and distributing Shueisha's manga online. The court sentenced the administrator to 3 years in prison on Friday, although the sentence is suspended for 3 years. Court also fined the administrator 80,000 yuan, or about 11,000. Blah blah, and Shueisha like suing people and stuff like that. But again, like much more of these people kind of like trying to play whack-a-mole with one hammer versus like 50 different moles, right? And third, the new light novel localizing and publishing company Tentai Books announced there's no way a side character like Mika be popular, right? And Welcome to the Diner of the Exiled has its first 2 licenses on Friday. The company will release the titles both in English and Spanish. So the what are the names of these in Japanese? It's Yujin kara no ore ga motte makaru motte makaru wake nai daro. Motte makaru wake nai daro. So that's the name for that. And Welcome to the Diner of the Exiled, or Suihosha Shokudo e Yokoso. So those 2 are things. I don't know if this is this isn't a paper publishing thing, right? This is like digital publishing, probably.
Probably.
Yeah, like they're I think they're probably most places are doing digital stuff nowadays, but obviously good. It's nice to see more people localizing, but I hope they again do it well. And of course, their site is down. That's nice. Excellent. But we'll see how they do as a localization company. Next, or that's it for like all the regular news. And I'm not going to do like what's been delayed, like anime events, stuff like that have been delayed. It's like growing at an exponential rate, and all of the stuff that's been delayed. What I will say is a lot of events and stuff like that have been moved online. So you might want to check the social media of your favorite groups of relevant publishers, events, and stuff like that to see if they've moved the event online in some manner. So please do check that out. And yeah, people news. First, voice actress and singer Koyama Momoyo of Revue Starlight fame announced on her blog on Thursday that she is taking a hiatus from singing work during May because she is having vocal cord nodule surgery. So she's been having vocal cord problems for the past 3 years, but unfortunately to no avail. So now she's getting surgery for it. Please wish her a safe operation and a speedy recovery. Next, actor, narrator, and voice actor Akira Kume Akira passed away due to heart failure in a Tokyo nursing home on Thursday at the age of 96. So he mainly did narrating, voice acting. He did stuff like Tsurube Salute to Families. He narrated anime such as Bochan in the Beginning, the Bible Stories Phoenix, Doraemon, Space Adventure Cobra, and Penguin's Memory. So please wish his family and friends condolences. Actress Okai Kumiko passed away on Thursday due to pneumonia from the new coronavirus disease at the age of 63. Okai had undergone radiation therapy from January to February after being diagnosed with breast cancer late in the year, and then afterwards she was diagnosed with COVID-19 and passed away. So in anime, she played Alina in the 1997 The Dog of Flanders film, Haru's mother in Studio Ghibli's The Cat Returns, and Jenny in the Pokemon Lucario and the Mystery of the Mew movie. So a couple of other roles. Please wish her friends and family condolences. Japanese theater troupe Yoru no Ki announced on Facebook on Friday that actor Wada Shu, passed away on April 23rd due to the new coronavirus disease at the age of 81. So he did a lot of sort of theater, drama kind of stuff. He also voiced characters in the Inazuma Kikaero one and Himitsu Sentai Goranger live-action special effects series. Wada's son, Urobuchi Gen, is a member of the creative group Nitro Plus, and he, so obviously, will affect him significantly. Again, condolences to his friends and family. And last but not least, Manga creator Shinzo Keigo revealed on Twitter on Thursday that he has been hospitalized and is undergoing treatment for lymphoma. He recently had surgery to remove tumor. Shinzo's Naruto Zasuo manga is taking a break after the next issue of Kodansha's Morning 2 magazine publishes the 24th chapter. So please wish him again safe treatment and a speedy recovery. And yeah, that was pretty much that. Again, I won't really mention any more of the sort of other crisis related news. But with that, we are going to move on to our shoutouts and callouts. Everybody here gets one shoutout and one callout. The shoutout is something that you want to praise, 5 out of 5. Compliment for me is certainly not going to be Digimon. And a callout is the exact opposite. Something that you want to insult, something that you want to disparage, insult, speak down on, 0 out of 10. And both of them can be any really person, place, or thing. And of course, we are going to start with Nier.
Of course. Man. A lot of stuff's happened in the past few weeks, dude.
Oh, wait, fuck. I forgot you had the call out.
Yeah.
And just keep going. Keep going.
I'll shout out first. I think I'll shout out Runeterra. It's a pretty cool game.
Mhm.
It's very I guess refreshing. Play a different card game. That's very easy to get into. It's not just uh, you know, Hearthstone clone.
Mhm.
It's a really interesting pace. I like the way it plays. I like the way the game is presented is very nice graphics. Shiny. It's good. Um,
Yeah, see you in league, bro.
it's not happening, bro.
When are we gonna play the
So
League
you
fighting game?
say.
Haha, whenever that comes out. Um, my call out.
Mhm.
It's a pretty big one. Uh, you might have heard um of this game. It's called Last of Us 2. Was supposed to come out. And then they delayed it indefinitely. But lately, the whole game, for the most part anyway, has been leaked. Um, Story details, cutscenes, uh, the ending. And it sucks.
Yeah.
It's not
What if
very
in
good.
context it's good?
I don't think there's any context that can make uh
What
that
happened good? Yeah.
good. I don't really want to spoil it. Um, but what I will say is the way the game, I guess, seems to try to be getting its message across is like probably the least how do I word this? Probably like the worst way to use the medium I've seen in a very long time, right? Because video games are they're a medium in which the player is the one taking action, right?
Mhm.
Like the characters are on screen, they're doing things, they're saying things, they're driving the story forward. But at the end of the day, the player is controlling the main character, right?
Mhm.
They're the one who is essentially in the character's shoes, right? And so when you present the player with a, I guess, goal that is probably the exact opposite of anything that player would ever want to do in that game.
Mhm.
Um, there's no reason for the player to continue, right?
Mhm.
And when you have that in your game, in a very story focused game, right? The Last of Us 2, it's basically a movie, right? Um, and when you present the player with the only choice of doing something that they would never want to do, it's a very bad way to get a message across, because the immediate thing the player is going to feel is just bad, right?
Right.
They're not even going to be like angry or sad or any specific emotion. They're just going to like not feel good, right? And you know, obviously, video games are a very effective medium in making the player, viewer, whatever, feel a certain way, because it's a very interactive experience, right?
Mhm.
But when you have the player just not feel good about what they're doing, um, that's usually not a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Because typically, when the player just doesn't feel good about what they're doing and they don't want to do it, they'll drop the game. They won't finish the game.
Right.
Or, worst case scenario, they'll refund the game. Or or in this case, they'll find out that something like that is in the game and they won't buy it to begin with.
Mhm.
And you don't really want that happening. Um, but yeah, everything I've
Well,
seen, the writing is just like fucking shit. It's
as
really bad.
I'm,
It's so like,
it's also not even. It's also detached from the IP entirely. Like it's not
yeah,
like The
like
Last of Us 2. All I'll say about it is that it is. Well, I mean, even Druckmann already said this is a game about hate. It's like, well, that's not what Last of Us 1 was about at all, in any way, shape, or form. Like Last of Us 1 was about this like fucked up zombie apocalypse thing, but like in the end, like Joel did something horrible and morally gray, but it was out of love for Ellie, like, and not wanting to like lose her. So
Mhm.
it's like it's such a bizarre like thing to even think like, oh yeah, you know what? Everyone loved that like Last of Us 1 was pretty predictable at the end of the day, but overall it was like pure catharsis because you know, you didn't like the fucking doctors by the end of the game, like the Fireflies, because they were like assholes who weren't even really considering or caring that they had to kill essentially like a child, even if it would like potentially save the world. Not even like guaranteed like stop the virus.
Mhm.
It would potentially. So it's like it's one of those things where the second game is just this weird like nihilism essentially where it's like isn't everything's terrible and nothing matters.
yeah, I mean,
It's
it's
like
basically a big
why
fuck you, right?
like why would anyone like want that after fucking Last of Us 1?
Yeah. It's just very fortunate.
Uh, and then to top it all off, right? So this happens, right? The game leaks. People are pissed, right? Uh, Very warranted, right?
Mhm.
Fans are canceling pre-orders. Um, there's a lot of people saying like, oh, well, save me the time of going
Save
out to
me
buy the
60
game.
bucks.
Save me the money. Um, and then, the outrage happens, right? This stuff starts to die down. Um, and then, just like, what was it 2 days ago, 3 days ago?
Mhm.
Uh, whether it's Sony or Naughty Dog, I'm pretty sure it's Sony. They start copyright striking YouTube channels
Oh yeah, I
for
heard about that.
talking about the leak,
Yeah,
I heard
any
about that.
information regarding it, and it's like you
which
can't use
you
leak like stuff,
you
but you can still talk about like general plot.
I mean, even if you're not talking about the plot, apparently you're
Oh
in
no, that's
risk
what I mean. It's like
of being struck,
that's like not
which is a very
legal.
gross misuse of like the tools that companies have. It's really fucked up that Sony is able to do that with absolutely zero repercussion. Um, and uh, like they just made it worse, right? Like people were mad, right? The game like leaked. People saw that the game fucking sucks ass, and
Mhm.
people were pissed, right? But for the most part, like the uneducated, you know, consumers, right?
Mhm.
That were just gonna buy the game anyway. Um, they probably like went completely over their head. But now that
Right.
Sony's copyright striking random fucking YouTube channels, like the odds of them hearing about it have increased. The drama has been prolonged, and it's just a worse PR situation for Sony. Um,
It's just a very
it's a
it's just a
complete
perfect
mess.
it's a perfect storm that's been brewing for way too long. I think that's the way
Yeah,
to say about it.
yeah. It's just like how dumb can you be, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my call it. It's just like fuck Naughty Dog, honestly, just as a whole, like company, just fuck them.
God, good thing they
They
got rid of
they
Hennig.
yeah, they basically kicked Amy Hennig essentially out of the industry. Um, and now this is happening.
Yeah.
Like
As
honestly,
much of a
karma.
fucking meme as it is to say, like, go woke, go broke, or get woke, go broke. It's like Amy Hennig knew what she was doing and was like very aware of the dangers of that, of like going too far. And so it's like to get rid of that person was already pretty foolish.
Mhm.
But now to follow that up with I don't know. It's just like it's
Yeah.
just it's fucked up.
Yeah.
Um, it's very stupid, and also they treat their employees like shit. So really, no losses in not buying the game. That's another thing too. By the way, actually, you know what? No, I'll save that. I know what
uh,
mine is now.
yeah. On that note, again, thanking you for your shout outs call. Dark, what do you have for us?
All right, I'm shouting out VR and VR chat again because VR is awesome.
God damn it
I'm
again.
having a lot of fun. I mean, me and my friend were playing VR chat the other day, and we just walked into a lobby, and it was a bunch of people. Like, if I wasn't, starving, I would have stuck around. But for
Mhm.
like 15 minutes or so, we stuck around and we watched the Sonic movie. So on a big screen.
Oh my
So that was
god.
pretty sick. But yeah, so like that's been really fun, especially during, the global situation.
Right.
Uh, but um, yeah, I don't know. I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying getting back into modeling. What I went to fucking school for. So
That's
that's
right.
that's been fun. It's a lot. It's a lot more. I don't want to. Inspirational, is that the word? I guess it's a lot more like makes me want to do shit when I know the outcome is going to be a much more like tangible,
Right.
like
Like there's a
tangible
work that
thing.
you can refer to, right?
Yeah, there's something I can do with it, and it's a lot better now that like we have all this VR stuff, and Unity's a big part of it because I know that I can do something with what I'm about to make that's more than just like a fucking render, right?
Right.
So I think that's been good
Okay.
overall. But to bring it back, the only thing I could possibly shout out here, and what I'm going
Call
to
it.
shout out or call out rather, is I'm gonna I'm gonna call out Jason Schreier for his stupid fucking comments regarding the Naughty Dog debacle and Last of Us 2, in which he basically
Okay.
just said, there's avenues to do this. The leaker was in the wrong. It's like, um, like your entire career has been providing leaks and insider information into companies, so like what's the right way to do it, to go to like you so you can get fucking clicks. Like, don't, like, come on, man, like, don't give us that shit.
Right.
And it's like, when you have stuff like that, I don't know if Schreier in particular had had this shit happen, or he did this kind of stuff, but there's been plenty of games journalists who have like told people, like, oh yeah, no, this is off the record, like this isn't on the table at like events and shit, and then they report on it on their fucking websites anyway. So it's like shut the fuck up. Like, don't, don't go there with that. And
Right.
it's just like that whole situation's a mess, and it's also bullshit on like pretty much all like the stuff surrounding that. I guess it's not just calling out Jason Schreier at this point, but even like Sony's coming out and they're like, yeah, by the way, the leaker, because there was that original post that was like, oh, the leaker is a disgruntled employee, right?
Mhm.
And now they're saying things like, people from Naughty Dog are saying they don't think it's an employee that leaked it, and Sony and Naughty Dog are like, yeah, the leaker was someone without any affiliation, and it's like, that's literally not possible. There
Yeah.
is absolutely, like, I think Bellular covered in a video. He was like, the only way that like someone could have possibly gotten this much would be if like someone who works at Naughty Dog either just had an unpassword protected router at their house and this person knew that's where they lived, or they
Mhm.
left like a hard drive lying around for no reason and someone took it and it just so happened to be the entirety of Last of Us 2. Like, like the leaker posted gameplay footage from 2018 of the multiplayer build of The Last of Us 2
Right.
Yeah.
that no one's seen before.
Multiplayer gameplay of them playing with other developers, by the way.
Yeah. So
Not affiliated with Sony.
there is no fucking way that this person. Now here's the thing though. They said not directly affiliated. So here's what I suspected immediately and what he brought up too. The leaker is not technically an employee for Sony or Naughty Dog, but it was someone who was given those files by a disgruntled employee for the exact reasons everyone suspects.
Yeah.
So I think the real telling thing is going to be if it comes out that Druckmann and other heads in Naughty Dog actually got their bonuses this year, and the employee did, because that was a thing that someone brought up was that there was a post saying that the leaker did it because they couldn't get a forward because of the global situation. Um, they were a bunch of employees were trying to get forwards of like their bonuses essentially that they would get 6 months after the game releases,
Mhm.
but they wouldn't. And so like that's kind of a reasonable thing because it's like, yeah, okay, it got delayed indefinitely, and this happened. Like these people kind of need bonuses if you're underpaying them, as Naughty Dog does. Naughty Dog is like what's it called? Gearbox, in which they underpay their employees because then they say, oh, you get royalties and like these fucking bonuses after the games come out.
Right.
And it's like, all right,
But the
but
game's not coming out.
but now you've indefinitely delayed it. So it's like that's already bad enough anyway, even if this wasn't why the leaker did it. But there was also a thing saying that Druckmann and the other like heads of Naughty Dog got their bonuses.
Yeah.
So
Oh
it's
yeah, no,
like,
I heard about that too. Fucking.
so if that comes out that that did happen, regardless, like that is definitely why the leak fucking happened. Like,
Yeah.
and here's another thing too. No one has that much animosity toward. No one had that much animosity towards The Last of Us 2 before this happened. Like, yeah, people were pissed it's not coming out yet, but people were still excited. Like someone whoever leaked this very much wanted to destroy it and Naughty Dog. And I don't think someone from the outside, from the total outside, would have done all of this and risked the amount of fucking like jail time they're about to get
Yeah. If they didn't
if they
really want to fuck.
literally
Yeah.
weren't on their last legs of
Right.
like,
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm fucked, I have no money, my company isn't even giving me any money. Like,
Right.
fuck these guys.
Right. It's a
So,
very unfortunate situation, but I would say that Naughty Dog has probably been a little bit too a little bit too. There have been a couple of too many mishandlings, right? A couple too many mishandlings of.
Yeah, I mean,
of
listen, when you have like 70% of your staff from Uncharted 3 like gone, and you also have you literally cannot find animators in the games industry to work for you anymore because everyone fucking hates you. So you have to pick off people from the movie industry, film industry, to get animators from there, and they don't even really know how to work in a games like engine. That's a problem, and the problem is you.
Right. Very unfortunate. Yeah. Again, thank you, Dark, and I guess Nier again for the talk on this. And I guess I'll go next.
What if I want to go next? Ah! What? All right.
So,
My shout out.
okay. Yeah, sure, Toast. Go, Toast. Shoutouts and callouts, please.
My shout out is to those Gen 5 music memes. Yeah, those are cool.
Okay.
Yeah, you know the ones, right? No,
What?
No.
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 You never play. Okay, never mind then. It's you guys. If you guys don't get it, then I'll make up a new one. My shout out is to yeah. Shout out to Pekora
Yeah.
for
What is
streaming
it?
the Metal Gear Solid series. Yeah,
Okay.
sure, okay. My call out, my call out is to the people walking outside my house and not practicing the social distancing in the park.
Yeah.
Don't
Well,
do that. You know that
Yeah.
SpongeBob meme that I post all the time? Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Okay. So my thank you, Toast, for your shout out and call out. My shout out is to honestly all of the Japanese voice actors who are making who are gunning for that max CPM YouTube life. It's been really funny to see you guys.
You mean
I
like
think I did.
Suita already has 500k subs?
Yeah, I think I did. I think I called this out last time, but like before it was just like me kind of talking about how like this was like growing, but like in these past 2 weeks, especially as Japan has really kind of gone into panic mode about coronavirus and the public has really gone hunkered down into lockdown mode, like max CPM, just like Sugita is just like doing Hara Hara Yukai, the Haruhi Suzumiya Haruhi, the opening dance like on his YouTube channel, like Imai Asami again, the voice behind Science Gate, and like Chihai Idolmaster Chan and stuff like that. It's just like doing like makeup tutorials and shit like that. Like Kaji Yuki is just like reading like children's stories. Like I don't know what the fuck's going on, but like everybody's just like trying to like pump out content. Um, it's very interesting to see them do that on YouTube. I mean, obviously, a lot of voice actors, especially since a lot of them are right now are from the younger generation, have been doing a lot of that already. But still, it's like to see a lot of the veterans kind of be like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm just gonna make this shit now." It's pretty interesting to see. So shout out to that. My callouts is to like, um, I've seen a. So again, obviously, I watch VTuber stuff. I don't necessarily watch streams, but I watch highlights. I translate some highlights, stuff like that. And I also, being Korean, I watch some Korean like reality game kind of shows and stuff like that recently. Some more popular ones, and I was watching them, and um, uh, as the human mind tends to do, they stare at the car crash. So I inevitably scrolled down to the YouTube comment section, and it was what's very weird to me is just like this is like a general sort of call kind of thing. It's like how many people don't really get the idea of like not like scamming but like faking it or like kind of faking and overhyping and kind of creating that sort of like YouTube content, you know what I mean? Or like general sort of like watchable content, right? Like one example is like if people are on like a general sort of like reality or like game show or like especially in like Korean shows and stuff like that, right? And it's like let's say there's one dude, and his sort of like general role, right, in their game show or the reality show, is to be a clown, or is to be like the sort of like the dummy. It's sort of like or the nerd, right? It's like the roles in the office, right? Where it's like Jim is supposed to be a certain way, or like Michael is supposed to be some way, or like Dwight is supposed to be some sort of way, right? And then people are like, why is he so stupid? Why is he acting like such an asshole? And it's like they're not acting like that because they're assholes in real life. That's how the show is, right? Like they have to
Why is this
overact
funny?
there. Yeah, it's like it's like saying it's like thinking fucking Steve Carell is like a retard like dummy because he plays Michael. Right? Like that's not how that works. um, and a lot of people kind of like fall for that in these like game shows and stuff like that. It's just like very confusing to me. But that also extends into these other things where it's just um, like for instance, when I was watching like scanning highlights and stuff like that with Reacher stuff, especially in like the Western community, a lot of people are like how there's a lot of or at least a couple of like for instance VTubers that are like have like deeper voices or like more like boyish voices, right? And they're like, I'm actually a dude or whatever, or like I could go for like a boyish girl or whatever, a tomboy or whatever it is, right? Tom girl, whatever, right? Um, and people are like, man, they're like androgynous. Like I don't know what their sex is and stuff like that. I'm like, they're clearly a girl, right? They just have a boyish voice. Like I don't know what the hell the computer. Like what are you talking about? They're not androgynous. They're a girl that has a boyish voice, and they're like, I could be a boy or whatever. Like, come on, like let's can we get with the program here? And then like, what is it like? Fucking like a lot of this stuff also extends to stuff, right? It's like why is she acting so crazy? Why is she acting so hyper? Or like why is she acting like such an asshole to this person? Or why are they snapping at each other so much? Or like why oh man, this like they have to be the couple. They have to get together or whatever. Stuff like this is like people like I don't know whether it's because some of these viewers are too young to get it, or like they've never been outside in their whole entire lives, or whatever it is. But it's just like they just don't seem to understand this idea of like, you know what I mean? This like content creation, right? It's like in Korea, actually, some of the YouTubers and streamers who do this sort of thing and like do like pretend like couples stuff like that. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like making pretend couples stuff like that for YouTube content creation.
Sure.
Uh, they call this YouTube cut, which is sort of like the YouTube frame or the YouTube sort of angle, right? So they're literally making sort of like an angle or like a frame to to like churn out content that people like, right? Like people kind of like end up watching like fucking Real Housewives of whatever, right? Um, but people like again, so I don't know whether they've never gone outside of their lives or whether like if they're too young for this stuff or whatever it is. But it's like a lot of people don't get it, and sometimes they overreact negatively, and it's just like it's very like
Are
I don't
you
know.
telling me the YouTuber that buys girlfriends off of the dark web isn't real?
Fucking like, 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 are you telling me that German isn't actually
Well,
retarded?
my
Like,
fucking
like
life is
completely
over.
retarded?
I think I think Germa is
Germa's a
actually
special
fucking
Well, the
dumb
game,
She's
yeah, the game in
actually a
terms of the game, yeah.
psycho.
But it's like a lot of people, especially when they're streaming, right? It's like people are streaming, like they tend to act up, right?
Well,
tend to put
it's
more
not even
energy
just
in.
acting up too, because it's like you're still interacting with your chat. Like
Right, right.
it's not like that is one thing I will say. Like with Germa, it's like it's not like he said it. He's brought it up before. So it's not like he goes outside and does like his fucking bits in front of people.
Yeah,
like,
exactly, exactly, exactly.
like what the
It's a show. It's a show. The stream is a show. The YouTube thing is a show.
like this is
Obviously,
for the stream.
there's a significant amounts of your real aspect of it, and there are some times where you just stream and you just tell people right about your real feelings. There are like confession streams or real Q&A streams, stuff like that. But like when people, when written like on Good Myth Morning are just like, throwing insults, like dissing each other or whatever, they're prepared like skits. And people are like, wow, that's amazing. like
They
you
must
saw somebody,
fucking hate each other.
yeah, like they must be comedic geniuses. What the fuck?
Yeah, they
Like,
fucking absolutely hate each other, but also
yeah.
they keep coming back to this fucking program.
Yeah, it's very. That's my call. It's just like there's so many people like don't get it, and the unfortunate thing is, it's like a lot of the times like these people are getting louder and louder and louder, and they're also already on Twitter. They're already on Tumblr, YouTube, wherever, and more as these people, these projects, these programs, these shows get integrated into Twitter, onto YouTube, stuff like that, the more they'll be affected by these, like, honestly, idiots saying, like, oh, how come this guy who's supposed to be an asshole on this reality show, why is he an asshole? Like, come on, guys. like, so I'm like, it's very,
Answer the question.
yeah. Why is this guy an asshole? But it's very, very unfortunate to see that. That's sort of my call out. I hate seeing that sort of shit. But yeah, that's pretty much my call out. And with that, we are done with today's podcast. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in to all the chatters in here, and all the listeners out there listening to the podcast. We stream this every other Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over at twitch.tv/4PlayerAnimecast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in anime, Japanese animation media, anime, manga, light novels, web novels, visual novels, and so much more. So check us out here. Again, we stream a recording of the podcast here every other week. We record our VOD, highlight the VOD so you can, check it out later. Of course, we export it to our YouTube channel too, so you can view it in whichever format that you wish. Check us out on our social media, on Facebook and on Twitter. At our handle at 4PBAnimecast, and Facebook 4PlayAnimecast, all with the numeral 4. So check us out here, check us out there. And with that, we'll see you next time.